everybody. Welcome back to the Irrational Passions Game of the Year Editorial Deliberations, Day 2. We here, we out here. I am Alex O'Neill, Editor-in-Chief of IrrationalPassions.com. It's the only place you'll ever hear me tout the title. And joining me tonight, or this morning, or whenever you're listening to this, we have the full, almost, editorial team of Irrational Passions. Logan Wilkinson is here.
Hey, it's me.
George Cruz is here.
There's never been a better time to be playing video games, some would say.
Mike Burgess.
I wouldn't.
Here.
We're still zero drop frames. I'm about that zero drop frame life.
Quentin Hoffman is here.
Howdy, I hate music apparently.
He hates fun, music, and video games.
Okay, let's be clear. Just because I played items off in Smash and Battlefield
Oh
only.
my god.
Oh my god. Scott! It's Scott.
Scott White is here.
Bring the voice of peace and calm.
Tranquility.
Thank you, Scott. This is day 2 of our deliberations. If you missed day 1, I would recommend listening to it because I don't want to necessarily go through all the same rigmarole, but we have the editorial team of irrationalpassions.com, and we're here to pick the winner and 2 runners-up for 2 categories today. Best music and best surprise. Things I'd like to reiterate at the top of all of these episodes. 1, hey, don't take this too seriously. We are just 6 people with 6 opinions, right? We don't reflect everybody. If you love this,
and send all of your angry replies to
at Blessing Jr. on Twitter.
Ooh, better.
Oh,
Fine, yeah.
At OKBeast now.
At
OKBeast now.
And do not forget to like.
Philip Houston.
Oh my god.
He's not gonna read it. That thing is gone. That's gone.
That
He
thing
ain't
is
checking that.
gone. Don't take it too seriously. We're all just here having a good time, trying to have hopefully a good conversation about some of the best video games of the year. If we, inadvertently shit on something that you like, it is not personal. Everybody likes their own things. Do not necessarily take this personally, because I promise you it's not how it was intended. We can only speak to the 6 opinions here. Hell, Jarrett Green isn't here because he doesn't want to deal with our bullshit. So
I mean, he's kind of here.
Sure. Yeah.
He's here in spirit.
He's here in spirit.
He's spitting his own fire.
We're also like, this is the first time we're doing this. I didn't really reiterate this in the last episode, but we're kind of figuring it out as we go along. And we were recording this over some amount of days, so there might be some continuity errors. But we're doing our best. So with all that saying, with all the introductions done, let's get right into it. Best music. Since the first episode, I've written category descriptions for each category that I think are okay. I don't know what you guys thought.
I like them.
So for best music, I wrote best overall score and soundtrack in a game this year. I think this is not best audio or sound design category. I want to double down on it. I think it can be an influence, but it's not the deciding factor. That is kind of like my takeaway. Right. Some we will definitely talk about how some of them use their music. I think it's certainly important to a lot of these games, but this is a very, very subjective category. I think of all of them, this is the most.
Oh yeah,
subjective.
for sure.
Totally.
Some categories got cut because maybe they were too subjective. This is very much us. We're gonna feel this category out as best we can.
Yeah, this was a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. We've all anticipated it being relatively tough.
I stand by this. I think it's gonna be the toughest one of all of them. Even tougher than Game of the Year, I think will be this.
Yeah, because we're just trying to find a middle ground between all the things that we like. And all of us like different things. I think all of us listen to generally pretty different kinds of music. So here are the nominees we have for best music as of right now. Also, shout out to Mike. He's streaming this time. So if you're watching,
shout out to Mike.
Of this, it will not be as choppy and terrible as the first episode. So apologies for that. But Octopath Traveler, Celeste, The Messenger, The Gardens Between, Tetris Effect, Moonlighter, Florence, Donut County, Spider-Man, or Marvel's Spider-Man, if you want to get technical. Yoku's Island Express, God of War, Iconoclasts, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Rage and Peace. Those are our nominees right now. I'm gonna.
I just saw how many fucking things are tagged for
Smash
Ultimate.
Bros. Yeah.
I mean, there's not that much. I think it's just that they're long titles.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
of
maybe
titles.
they're
very
just
long
looks like a
titles.
lot on the
Really
dock.
long
It's like,
titles.
holy shit.
And compared to the amount of tracks in that game, that's probably like
Alright, there you go.
0.002%.
Also,
Not this. To
Also that.
reiterate, this is not most music category.
Yeah,
Correct.
that yeah, most music is just a meaningless category. It's
Although we could do that one year just for fun.
Mhm.
the most
Rock Band
music.
4 wins
Rock
again.
Band 4.
Congratulations.
Two requests at the top that I should have kind of worked into the intro here. I think I challenge all of us to, instead of using this as a platform to say why a game is worse than another game, I would encourage us to focus more on the positive. I think this is very much taken after the Giant Bomb Game of the Year style, what with one winner and two runners up. But the big fault of theirs, I think, consistently is just that they will typically dunk on a game to lower it down the list instead of praise a game to raise it up the list.
Yeah.
They've gotten better about that, but
They have.
and I would say I don't remember the other thing I was going to say. I can play. We're going to play some music for this category, which is fun.
Play that track.
Play that track.
Play that funky music, white boy.
gonna get that hot copyright strike.
Yeah, we're gonna get for
DJ
sure.
O'Neill,
we're gonna
where'd you
get-
I'm gonna
get
try and
that?
play it pretty quiet so we
We're
don't
gonna get
copyright
taken the
strike.
F down.
But
Let
we
him
will do our
try.
best.
Only from YouTube though. Podcast wise, will be fine.
Yeah, podcast-wise,
you're probably that's right. So can I put something up
Yes.
first?
Yeah.
So I would say maybe I feel like it would help kind of whittle this down. Is
Yeah.
maybe go through the one. There's a lot of ones here that just kind of have a track on them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that as well.
And like not to like again not to be like dismissive of that, but it seems
Sure.
just like that's just easier to be. That seems more like maybe somebody just
Right.
really liked that particular track from that song and just kind of wanted to shout it out. So I feel like
I also-
maybe it's easier just to kind of go through those and then just maybe drop them.
I would
don't know.
request that maybe we just move in a little bit of a tighter clip than we did for the last two categories.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
just in general across the
Mhm.
board.
Do you
I
want to be here
think,
for
like-
4 hours?
Yeah, I don't necessarily want every episode, literally two categories, to take 3 hours. So
Okay. So with
Yeah.
that being said, I think the God of War song is a very good song, but I don't know if it hangs. It's a great soundtrack by Bear
think-
McCartney.
Yes, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I think the soundtrack as a whole.
It's a fantastic soundtrack.
It's way better than just that one song. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
an amazing soundtrack.
it's got that chanting. I'm playing it
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
that
very
chanting's
good.
cool. Yeah.
Shout-
Whenever I got tired of God of War, I listened to this song and that get me hyped up again.
Shout
Yeah,
out to
yeah,
my
totally.
Wi-Fi in my house being
It's
Very
a
good.
Great soundtrack.
And atmospheric. It really
Yeah.
did a good job to add to the atmosphere.
I think very
It's-
evocative.
it-
Yeah.
The quote one Michael Huber, it sets the tone.
Yes.
Very
yes,
strongly,
absolutely.
like it sets the tone
Absolutely.
for this game. Like they literally,
Mm-hmm.
like literally the first time we saw anything for this game, it was a live
Yeah,
orchestration
it was music
of,
first.
of
yeah.
this like main.
Oh, that
theme.
lady going.
Yeah, the lady just that
Like, with her
lady
mouth.
like made me feel things I haven't felt in a long time. But ultimately,
I would-
I would
I will say
also
my
say
biggest-
yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is the only song I remember.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
It's a
this
cool song,
seems
though.
this seems really cool, and that's all that needs to be said, pretty much, and it can
Yeah.
go. And like
I think
honestly,
sometimes-
There's a fantastic sound.
and honestly,
yeah.
in the ways of we can talk about it for sure, but in the same clip, I would say the same thing about Spider-Man. That's like
Yeah.
that opening.
Spider-Man's one where it's like
that opening-
I would get rid of Spider-Man even before God of War. Like there are other tracks where I can
Yeah.
remember being like,
That-
that's a great music. And
that
Spider-Man, like I don't even know the theme of that as like something that is like memorable to me.
City of Hope.
Like it's a generic
I have
name,
no
but I do
idea.
like I figured it was that main title theme, like when you're
Yeah.
when you open up the game and it has that song
Mhm.
playing, like
Right here.
that. I do like that track, but like it sounds like pretty much every
I think Marvel just in general
big
is not.
thing. And I would
mean, like,
I would
stand
also
out
say
musical
like
tracks.
yeah, exactly, and
Yeah.
that's and like to emphasize on that, like it's more the music. Like I don't think the music is particularly standout about Spider-Man, but I think the sound design is very standout. But but I would put it on the other end. So like ultimately, like I think those God of War and Spider-Man can just kind of
This is fine.
go.
It's a very good superhero track.
Yes.
Yes. What were you gonna say, Quinn?
Honestly, the God of War soundtrack didn't stand out to me, but that's probably just because that's who I
It
am.
didn't stand out to me
his
either.
like his crusade against anything God of War positive here. Yeah.
I mean, like,
all right.
But,
I'm
like,
in the same boat. So
I think the thing with God of War, and I think we also see this in the Giant Bomb conversations, is that sometimes cinematic scores, the very orchestral scores, gets a short shrift, and I think there is definitely hard
Yes,
work
I
put
agree.
into the God of. There's definitely talent put in the God of War soundtrack.
there is, but
Absolutely.
there's
But
no
still,
track.
Like God of War to me is
Be
definitely
collect.
would be in like my like top 3 or 4 for the year. I think it's an
Yeah,
amazing
for me, it's
soundtrack.
definitely not. I can't
It's
say
also
it's
one to me where it's like
That's fine.
I like it's not gonna be either one of my like 2 horses in this race, but it's
This-
like I think the soundtrack is great.
This sounds like
Definitely part of the game.
Spider-Man.mp3, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it
Spider-Man
really
to me is-
does.
like,
Yeah.
Spider-Man to me is way more of just like this is a whatever like generic. Like all right,
Yeah.
cool, it's fine, but it's like
it was
God
very
of War
like
makes something it's like distinct to me.
yeah, it was very like Spider-Man is very like awe-inspiring, but it's also
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
this is what New York sounds like in the Marvel world.
Yes,
That's like that's
yeah.
what Spider-Man
Yeah,
is.
it's like they nailed that aspect of like, yep, this is
which
what
is
it,
what
it
they
should-
were
yeah,
they
exa-
should be going.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Like they nailed that aspect of it, and that's all they need to do, and like that's good enough.
Marvel in
doesn't-
general just has
But
very
yeah,
good,
it
like-
doesn't.
That's a good soundtrack, but like nothing amazing for like the kind
Yeah.
of themes in general for heroes.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I really like this Iconoclast track because I'm so early in the game that
Yes,
I
like
haven't heard much.
that's.
But you only put one track on here.
I mean, I actually didn't put that Iconoclast track.
Oh, okay.
That was you,
That's-
Quinn?
Oh, Quinn.
Because I like
It's a good track.
It is
It's
a
a
good
great
track. Like I would ultimately say, like in the long, I didn't ultimately put any Iconoclast music because that was not the thing that stuck with me from that game.
This is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like
good,
you-
like walking around
It
town.
sounds like
Yeah.
chiptune ice cream truck music.
Yes. I like
Yeah.
and like the reason I included it and I only included one track is because I haven't finished the game yet, George.
Mm,
Yeah, same here. Like this is the only track I'm familiar with.
Yeah, and I think I'm maybe 3 levels in,
yeah,
and that's the only standout track thus far.
yeah.
It makes a
exactly.
great first impression.
It's- yeah.
That and the animation and the look of the game, like
Yeah, that's the thing of
Mhm.
like I would say like the music is fine. It services that game, but I would say it's ultimately not the thing it is stands out on. It is like I think the style and like where the story and the storytelling goes, and like the
Right.
characters, and I think like the
And it
kind of the like Metroidvania puzzly aspects. I think like all of that stuff is the more standout stuff for Iconoclast ultimately.
Also, it's the same guy. The guy. It's like a Toby Fox situation where it's the developer who made the soundtrack
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
he did almost everything for the game.
Yeah.
It's Joaquin Sandberg, I believe is his name.
So shout out to
He
that.
worked on that game, I think, for like I think it was like 7 years.
Yeah, I saw that.
Damn.
Shout out to that.
The soundtrack for that kind of reminds me, just from that one song, kind of reminds me of Owlboy. If any of y'all played that Owlboy.
I played it, but I couldn't.
really want to play Owl Boy.
I couldn't remember the music because I didn't play that much of it. It just didn't really grab me.
I want to say this.
We're getting rid of it though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I want to say this because I don't know if it's top 3 material. We can revisit it. I think a lot of us do feel pretty good about it. It's Tricky Company. The Messenger is in because
Yeah.
I think it is like super rad music. It just like
It
it's
is.
it's
Messenger music is fantastic. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's just it's one. It's like I love music in games, but my biggest crime as a reviewer is I oft forget to mention it, but it was something I definitely
Right.
wanted to mention in my review for the Messenger.
Mhm.
Quinn, I assume you pulled these tracks.
Hell yeah, baby!
I picked the last one, but yes.
Okay.
Bamboo Boogaloo is like
yeah, dude, that's the first track I was thinking of.
like
Mhm.
I stand that track.
Yeah, it's very good.
I think the music kind of needs to be good for that game also because just from first impression, especially I remember this music specifically from PAX
Yeah.
because that game doesn't have a lot from just touching it like for 30 minutes. It doesn't have a lot that stands out, but that music really like oh fuck.
Yeah.
this is
No, I
going.
It is
totally
fucking
agree.
music.
Because like
Um,
I've not
Yeah.
spent as much time as I would like to with that game, but like yeah, like the music is the thing that has stood out to me from like the little time I've had with it. Like George said, like going to events and like being able to hear that music while just like walking down
Yep.
like PAX West hallway and immediately being like, oh, Messenger's nearby. Like it's definitely very recognizable.
Yeah, where's Jen at?
Yeah,
She's
where-
somewhere.
yeah. Where
Yeah.
are they at?
I put down the first track from the first level, which is the like I said, that's the one that's like oh shit, this is going.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is the Hills of Destiny, Autumn
Yes.
Hills.
Let me grab that one.
Very good.
Yes, this one is very cool too. And like speaking of sound
This is
design,
my favorite
yeah.
game.
yeah, this is it's very
This
good.
is very much the like you're walking around this event hall and
Like,
you
I'm a
hear this,
ninja!
and that's
East or west, and
like
just
you
blaring
can
out
kind
the
of tell what that game is
Yeah.
immediately from hearing this track. Like you're
That
probably
very
like
distinctive-
a ninja. Yeah, you're probably a ninja or
So good, man.
And also
Yeah.
when you go underwater.
Oh yeah, and
yeah,
it
and
gets,
it like
muffled.
yeah, and
Gets
it comes out
muffled.
That's the thing that like I wanted to mention. Like when I was thinking of sound design, the messengers is a standout because it seamlessly mid-track will switch from the 8-bit palette to the 16-bit
16-bit.
palette,
Mhm.
and like the music changes mid-track, like perfectly on note.
yeah.
So like the two tracks have to be running simultaneously constantly.
Yeah.
It's just waiting for you to switch, and that's just it translates in game mechanically very well.
Yep.
And
But I agree that I don't know if it's gonna.
I don't know if it's gonna hang. I just
We
want
can
to
keep it for now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If it hangs.
I
See how it
wanted
shakes
to,
out.
to shout out the
Mhm.
message.
Messenger's great.
Yeah, I
That's
think there's
great.
a few. I think there's a few others on
Great.
here that only have like
So
One or
I haven't
two.
even played this game,
Mm-hmm.
but I put this game on here just from Mike's review, and that's Moonlighter. This fucking shit is
Yeah,
so
the-
goddamn
the main
good.
the Beyond the Gates song in particular. That's like the
so
main
good.
theme that like plays when you load up the game is very good. It's very good. I do.
Funny 'cause I don't remember the music of that game at all.
Like, yo, we're gonna do some fucking adventuring. It is a mystery out there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna figure it out. It's so good.
Oh yeah, this song is very good. Yeah.
Good.
This is like when you like literally when you first boot up the game, it has like that cool like weird like
Yeah, this is kind of
stone
cartoony.
gooey door opens, and like
Yeah.
the title card comes in, and that's a really good track. And then I think the other one you used was the when you're like doing like a date, like you're in the shop for the day. Like
Yeah,
I think
let me-
those two are like the standout, but I would say other than that,
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't.
I just want to
really
give it a
much-
shout out because
No, yeah, it's totally deserved
it's fantastic.
because those are
Yeah,
good
Moonlighter
songs.
for me, what I remember is one of my spoilers, one of my top 10 games of the year. It's very like chill.
Yeah,
Like
Yes.
it is like for me, like it turned very much into like a podcast game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I'm
Mhm.
the podcast criminal who will play podcasts over the music in
Yeah,
games
I-
99% of the time.
yeah, I do that a lot too. I totally
but
see
it's
that.
very much like small town vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
like a
good.
lot of
Yeah,
those
it's
trees. Very fantasy, fantastic.
It's very
Yeah.
very jolly.
Mhm.
But I would say like once you get into the dungeons, like I couldn't remember
No,
any of the music when you're like going through the
Yeah.
different dungeons or anything.
Like this is some of the dungeon music, which is
Oh.
very much like
Mm.
it reminds me of a lot of like
Atmosphere.
And even so, like
Yeah.
I got through like I think like I got to like the third like different dungeon area, and I want to say they don't really change.
Okay.
I can't
Yeah, the
remember
final-
if they did. I know the boss
Let me-
music. I know there's like different music for the bosses, but I don't remember.
this is I think the final boss music, and it's very cool.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's-
get to that.
that's the music I remember is like that final boss.
Mhm.
And what's cool is it escalates as you do more damage to it,
Yeah,
and then like the
I
final
remember
boss
that
has
too.
a second form, where things get like real.
Right.
But yeah, it's very like high fantasy sound to it,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm. I
funny
can definitely hear
because
that.
aesthetically, the Moonlighter is very like sci-fi in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
which plays in the
It's
story.
like it's like weird like sci-fi
sci
like
fantasy,
like
right?
futuristic and medieval fantasy.
Mhm.
If that
Are
makes
we keeping
sense.
No.
I would say we can let go of the Moonlighter. It's cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Don't
But
sleep
those
on
are
that
like
game.
those two tracks are some of my favorite pieces of music from this year, and I didn't play that game. Like I thought, like it makes me. Those two tracks make me want to play Moonlighter.
You really should, George. I
Yeah.
think you would dig it.
I really need. I'm waiting for it to come out on Switch, or is it
It-
already
yeah,
on
Switch?
Switch?
it's on Switch.
November.
I gotta play it. So.
Okay.
So
It is
You
on
can buy
Switch.
that at a Target now. It's a physical. I saw it.
I think you might like it too, Quinn. It's dope.
Mhm.
It's because it reminds me a lot of Rogue Legacy, which I believe you liked, right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Rogue Legacy was very, very good.
I'm gonna shout out the ones between real quick.
I was gonna say you have it
Yeah.
highlighted here.
Did we even
Because-
get to play the track?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
It's
guys.
a
Bear with
Bandcamp.
me.
I wasn't able to find a YouTube link.
It's okay. This still works.
And the only reason I'm shouting it out is because I literally wrote a paragraph in my review for this game on the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
remember
like just calm, and
Yeah, I
because
listened to it. It's really nice.
because there's no dialogue in the game, the soundtrack basically is like the dialogue. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's calm and it's happy, and that's the beauty of it. And it's all like there's ambient sounds like water and crickets chirping and all that. And it's really done super well.
Is there a lot of ambient sound in that game?
Yeah, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a middling.
It's a very. I actually played it this past weekend because it was on sale on PSN. It is a very mellow game for sure.
It is. And the melodies are super like chill. But the thing is, later in the game, it'll get a little bit more like
Hectic.
more in your face because of how the game progresses.
Alex, could you give us a little bit more audio?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very
Too
loud.
loud?
Leia, turn it down just a little bit.
I mean, we're gonna get copyrighted either way, but at least like.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine.
I have a lot of tools to adjust sound. I don't want it to be too loud.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, yeah. I couldn't get it. It's very
and I
good.
think it does-
It's very much like my kind of jam.
So
yeah, and it works so well in that game.
I'm gonna give it doing the easy cuts. Yoku's Island Express. So Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze presents this nominee, Yoku's Island Express. Play Yoku's Island Express. Like play some of
Yeah.
these tracks. It is some
There's some-
Donkey Kong-esque music.
It's very
Hey,
jolly.
hey, and
It is the same guy, right? It's who's this? I forgot his name.
Is it?
Wise? I think it is.
David
Is it
Wise.
David
David-
Wise?
I think it is. I could be
I don't
wrong
think
about
it's David
that.
Wise.
Let me Google this.
Ain't no Grant Kirkhope. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying.
that's for sure.
Boom.
But yeah, if you want to play some Yoku's tracks, like
Speaking of Grant Kirkhope. Oh yeah. This is jolly as shit.
and you're a little ant guy. For people who don't know, I guess we should explain.
You're dung. Yeah, you're dung beetle.
Yeah, Yoku's Island Express, your little dung beetle who washed up ashore, and he's now the postman for this island with a bunch of fun animals, and he's really cute. He's got a little party thing where he blows it and he does little confetti. It's
Oh,
really
he's
good.
got a party popper.
Yeah, he's got a party popper.
Mhm.
Jesse Harlan.
Steve Harlan.
Yeah, I like
And so
this.
the second track
Oh,
here.
yes, you found it wasn't okay. Oh, yeah, it's Team 7.
What's the other one called?
Welcome to whatever the heck.
Mokumana Beach.
Yeah, so that's the intro level. Again, it's a lot of the same vibes. It just, man, I don't like pinball, and I think what separates Yoku for me is just how goddamn charming it is. From the characters and the music and the design, like it's so lighthearted. It feels like a Pixar short made into like a game to me. Like it's got the same vibes of this like really like simple characters and like really cute designs, and I don't know, I really like it a lot. But
You don't remember that Pixar shirt that was in front of Incredibles 2?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
That was so
That
damn
shit,
good.
that shit fucked me up, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's better than the movie.
Damn, I wouldn't go that far.
Hey, Logan. I agree with you.
I mean, it's more of the same, but we're not here to discuss that. Anyways, Yoku's Island Express. If you haven't heard about it, folks, it's a neat pinball game. It's like a pinball Metroidvania. It's really good.
Is it as good as Metroid Prime Pinball? The
That's a
only
great
pinball-
question. I mean, it certainly feels better to play. I can
Game-
tell
we
you
have to-
that much for sure.
So we have
The
to.
only pinball game.
It sounds like a game club to me.
Oh shit!
Oh,
Let's see
God.
Metroid Prime Pinball.
Oh god. Oh god.
So are we
Anyways.
letting Yoku go?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now we're in the shit
Who-
kind of almost.
I mean, who put Donut County on the list? I want to hear the defense of this.
I like Donut County. Donut County's dude. Donut County is so good. The soundtrack, it's sort of like Yoku, like it's but it's more chill.
Yeah.
It's sort of this like chill, jaunty tracks. Like it feels like I don't even know how you would describe it, but it's I guess just start playing some, Alex. But like it
Usually I
feels-
am trying. It's just loading.
Sure, no, sure. It's like some chill business funk. Like I don't know, but
Is this
I like it.
Is this
It's
Guthrie? Is this Jim Guthrie?
It's
I don't
good.
think so.
It is.
Daniel Conster and Ben Esposito.
Yeah, I don't think it's Jim Gunther. Yeah.
Tim Guthrie is the GOAT, in my opinion, in a lot of cases. But Below, the only soundtrack that he did this year, I've barely played, which is a bummer. I will say Below's music seems pretty good, but it's not.
It's
Minimalist.
it's
in
a
way.
background kind of.
Yeah, it is. It is very much a atmospheric type thing. It's not
Yeah.
not a best soundtrack contender, but it's cool.
Yeah, I'm not ready to get rid of Donut County. I don't think it's gonna hang, but I
No.
feel
That's
close to
okay.
it.
What was the other track that you had in here?
Slackers, which is probably my favorite one out of this. Oh no, there's actually another. Maybe I'll add. No, I think we're good. Just play
I have the
Slackers.
whole because this person has a YouTube playlist, so I have.
I'm gonna look at this playlist and see which other ones. But this one takes a little bit to get going. But
We can jump ahead a little bit.
Honestly, it's like acoustic. A lot
yeah,
of like it's really just like chill, but it's like kind of funky. And it's
It's,
really
you know-
smart.
It seems like it fits with the game pretty well.
Yeah.
yes, for sure.
That's really the beauty of it, is that it does fit with it.
Has anyone played Donut County on mobile?
No.
Mhm.
I'm just curious how it is.
No.
It's cool. I think it's cool that game's on mobile just because I can recommend it to people and they play it and like, yo, that game is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
What about Salt and Pep? I'm just curious about that.
there's like a final boss. I don't know what the song is, so I'm not even gonna fucking.
No, Salt and Pep's the cooking one. Yeah. That's good.
I like
like
this
the-
the most of anything.
I feel like this would be a soundtrack I'm
This is my favorite.
listening to in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Like while I'm just like working or writing or
Totally
something,
for
just kind of
Logan.
like
yeah, that's very much
in
in
the
home
background.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like I think George, honestly, I think it can.
Play boss fight, Alex, please. Play the boss fight music.
Is
I
it
like the
towards the
boss.
bottom?
I like Salt and Pepper a lot. That's real.
Yeah, Salt and Pep's good. I like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Ooh, this is
Oh, that's Metal Gear-ish.
yeah. This kind of reminds me of that one Super Mario 64 track.
Yeah.
When you get the wing hat.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good actually observation.
It's not gonna hang, but I,
got
want
you,
to.
fam.
Actually, I
Yeah,
think
no, we
give
can
it-
hold on to this. I'm digging this
Okay.
certainly more
Yeah.
than some of the other contenders. So
It can.
Oh, this
yeah,
is
I can.
cool.
It can stay. Yeah, for a bit. I think we can stay for.
I want to say so. There's one game on here. I don't know if it qualifies in a lot of ways, but it does have a good soundtrack, and I don't blame you for not thinking of it, Scott. But Just Shapes and Beats is a cool music video game with a cool licensed soundtrack.
Yeah.
Specifically, its use of the Mortal Kombat theme is very good.
Yes.
But
Yeah, like I liked Just Shapes and Beats when I reviewed it and everything, but I guess it's just a bit outside my wheelhouse of like what I listen
it's a lot
to
of
purpose-
wibbly wobbly dubstep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was done incredibly well. I
Mhm.
guess it just didn't stick with me because it's not quite my cup of it's
Sounds
not
like
my
That's
main like I never found myself going back after the fact and listening to it like while I was working or something. Like I enjoyed listening to it while I was playing, but it didn't dig into my mind.
I really need to
make
play
me-
that.
Yeah, it's also all licensed music for the most part, I believe. I think
Yeah.
there might be some original compositions in there.
Sure. I think we're
Um,
gonna have a conversation about curation though here. So
Yeah, curation is certainly a part. I'm not trying to make enemies here, but I just want to give my honest opinion. Listen to some of this music before we started, and the Octopath Traveler beats did not do anything for me.
yeah, it's
I want
It's gonna be it's gonna be a tough one. Scott, go for it,
yeah,
man.
Scott.
I mean,
go
hit
ahead.
it with
actually,
your
I
stuff.
think I put most of the music down. I don't know if Scott
Okay.
had anything to it, but I had to think. I mainly
Yeah.
just wanted to like. I think there are a lot of strong tracks in it. There's one obviously we're gonna get to that I obviously feel much more strongly about, but I really like its use of the music, like in particular, how it progresses over the game. Because like there's the main theme, and then I just kind of put that as an example, and of course
I like
put,
the main theme from what I listened.
yeah, and then I put just a character theme. Of course, there's 8 different characters. There's like they all have their own separate theme. They have a couple actually separate themes, is what I'll get to. And basically basically like each of their stories are set up into chapters. So there's 4 chapters for each character, and the music and the music that you hear in each battle, like just like general battles and boss battles, like change each chapter. Like the battle music and all the stuff is like changing and progressing as you go. So I thought that was just really well handled and like handled like smartly. But my favorite thing, which are with the boss one specifically, is each character has like their own like basically like pre-boss battle music. So it's like basically like a build-up track that's like specific to that characters before they go into their character's boss battle in a chapter, and then that music starts when they're about to get into the fight, when like they're having a talk back and forth with this boss or whatever, and then when they go into the actual battle, it then has a transition directly into that boss battle music. Like, and there's 4 different boss battle tracks, and like each character has their own starting, and then all of them transition perfectly into all of these different boss battle music. So like it just interweaves. So like I put the example in there, like there's just the boss theme 2, and then I did and transition. So if you click on and transition, you'll hear the start of one of the characters' themes that's like a boss, and it transitions into that boss 2 theme. So that's the actual theme, which I think
boss theme 2.
Yeah, which I thought that's very good. And this is the character is Tressa for this, so this is like her music that's playing while she's starting up. Then like in a couple seconds you'll hear it transition into that boss theme.
That's good.
I like that.
The one that still got to battle music.
Hold on 1 second though, because it's coming up like in a couple seconds.
Ooh, I like that.
It goes right into the boss battle music, and all 8 characters like have their own version of that like perfectly transitions into like the different boss battle themes for each chapter. So I just thought like they just use music in like a really cool like progression style way as you play through that game, and like they have all that stuff, and like that's obviously a lot of work they did just like to have this transition for boss battle music. So I just think it is extremely good music. But ultimately, if it's I think it's just me and Scott. So I have one other game I would obviously fight a lot more for, but
so
I mean I
think you made a good argument for it, Mike. I would be okay with keep that sticking around, but that's just me.
What were you gonna say, Scott? Because you have not said anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike Kanye'd me.
Well, I mean, I put all the music on, so that's.
I'm gonna let you finish. No, I share a lot of the same comments that Mike made. They did a very good job with they did so much work with the music transitions, but just in terms of the quality, the orchestral tracks really stood out in that. Especially with games like your Dragon Quest and things, we didn't.
Sure, that's what I was gonna say.
I feel like we didn't have a lot of like the grandiose orchestral, kind of like European orchestral soundtracks this year, except with the exception of Octopath, and all the tracks did incredibly well. Each character they did a very, very good job reflecting each character's personality in their individual tracks, and the sense of wonder and adventure, and in some of the darker and more serious areas, the more serious and darker tones, loneliness, that all is carried over incredibly well with the pieces of in Octopath. Plus the main theme, I think, is incredibly powerful. It's very uplifting and kind of gives you, like, right when you start the game, it gives you that feeling, it's like that you're about to go on these incredible adventures and meet these fantastical characters in this brand new world.
And I will also say that, like I mentioned, I think orchestral scores sometimes get a short shrift. I like it.
I
would say.
Oh, go ahead, Logan.
No, yeah, I would say it's I think very impressive and really good. We're at the point now, I think, to a point towards me where I think now we're at the point where like none of these are things that are going to be like
easy
throwaway things we're going to get rid
drops.
of. That's like, all right.
Yeah, you have a good point there.
If you're not going to go to bat for this, I would be like, all right, maybe
Alex,
some kind of.
Scott mentioned.
And also, I feel like we should just maybe just do the big one now and then go kind of work our way from there.
Hold on a second. Scott mentioned, loneliness, and I reminded me of Celeste. Right, Alex, can you play that track? It says "Don't Give Up." Can you play that for me, Alex? From Celeste. It's a great soundtrack. I love Lena Raine. It's great.
Is it Lena or Lena?
I've never heard her say it out loud, so I always say it Lena. But
that's how Jeff Keighley from the Video Game Awards pronounced it.
Now I clicked the
Said
link
Lena.
to Don't Give Up.
No,
and
I think this is good stuff. I think it's really great. I mean, it's
I
great.
think this
platforming.
is from a different video game website.
This is pretty.
Looking at it, it looks like this is from Irrational Passions Podcast's second best soundtrack of 2017. Near Automata. This is, you know what? Strong bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry I ruined the other bit earlier.
It's
fine.
okay.
That hit me too good. I was like, no joke. I was like literally, I was like
Anyways.
going through them and just like.
How
was
about,
literally...
you know what? If things are going to get heavy, why don't we get a different perspective? How's that sound?
Sure.
Here's a Jarrett take.
Oh,
Jarrett says,
green.
shout out to y'all making it to this category, pretending you weebs aren't going to pick a Smash track. I don't know why he thought we were going to pick a single track to win. I don't. Maybe Jarrett just kind of misunderstood.
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
category.
Yeah.
He is old. I'm not trying to dunk on Jarrett, but he does make a bit of a mistake here in his next sentence. He says 2018 hasn't been the banner year for video game music that 2017 was. I mean, Pyre, Nier Automata, Cuphead. There's no competition. He missed Persona 5 in there for some reason.
I mean,
Maybe
He completely
Yeah.
lost all credibility.
That's pretty
in that.
good.
Yeah,
But
I think he just forgot. It's
I
fine.
think that checks out.
But there's still some standouts. I don't think I have a specific track, but a game that has great music and is nowhere to be found on this list is Red Strings Club.
That game is installed on my computer, and I want to play it.
Yeah,
My
I literally did not hear of it until he said it, but also he didn't link a track, so he
Yeah,
also
well,
it didn't
favorite
help his
thing
case.
About Jared's take is that he inadvertently did what he was supposed to, which is pick a game and not a single track.
Yeah.
Not a specific track, didn't have a specific game. That's what you were supposed to do, Jared. You nailed it. You got it right, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jarrett, his heart's in the right place. Jarrett, like we said at the top, he's here in spirit, and boy, do we love him.
Well, now that we've had that, I think we are getting to the thick of it, and I
I feel like we should just
getting rid
do
of
Smash
Donut.
now in a way. Like just
Yeah,
get the elephant out of the room.
I mean,
we get the internet a lot.
I want to do
And
one
I feel
thing.
like this is gonna be.
I want to do one thing before we do Smash, though.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well,
I
I was gonna say you said you were looking to maybe cut Donut County.
Yeah, Quinn, how do you feel about that?
And Octopath too, right? Did we already do that?
I mean, I feel
Octopath,
I would. Octopath for me is one where it's just like I feel like both of you would rather have Smash on this list than Octopath.
I would keep Octopath over.
I would keep Octo over Smash.
Really? Okay, well then we
Okay,
should.
we're let a deal in here.
Definitely keep it. Yeah. Okay.
Or
And
are we
I
making
have-
shady deals right now?
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Mike is unhappy. That's what Mike's face is
Okay,
telling me right
can
now.
Then we'll,
So-
we'll keep. We'll go back to that. We'll get,
Well,
wait,
I
Donut County,
I
are we
was gonna
okay with
so
doing
yeah, I
that?
guess yeah.
Mike,
let
you're
go
gonna
of
set the
Donut
scene.
County.
I want to set the scene as well. So I just want to say, and I said it on top, I think there is an incredible value in curation, which is why I'm fine with a list that would have hypothetically any licensed tracks, because I think curating something takes work, and not only that, but in the specific case when we're about to talk in Smash Brothers, not only it's curation, but it's meetings, it is contracts. There's a lot of conversations that need to happen to make the soundtrack that is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And that's all I will say right now, that I find incredible value regardless of how we end on that.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I mean, I wanted to bring up one other game on here before I got to Smash again, and that was because I feel like, I mean, I guess not to dunk on Logan specifically, but again, you put Rage and Peace on here, and you're the only one who's played it here, so I wanted you to speak your piece about it before we got into like the big ones.
Play this too, so we can start listening to some of the tracks.
Sure.
So listen to it again too. This has actually become my pick for what best music is going to be. Which surprised even me, but listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this is the best part of the game is the music. I think it's the first one.
this is the first one, yeah.
Yeah, and like, Rage and Peace, again, the comparison that I feel like we've talked about the most is kind of comparing it to Celeste, which I think does ultimately a disservice to both games. But and so it's got these kind of in between the like platforming levels.
Can you give me a little bit more,
sections
Alex?
Even. It'll cut to kind of flashbacks of Timmy, who's the main character, life, right? Like, because obviously the game takes place the day that he dies. And so these kind of flashbacks to give you kind of quick interstitials of his life and kind of big moments or moments that kind of led him to where he's going, to why he's doing certain things he's doing over the course of the game. And some, especially in the back half of the game, you get kind of more and more into kind of the heavier aspects of his story and kind of the more important. Yeah, that's a really great one. Some of the more reasons why like he is so closed off and kind of emotionally like dead inside, which is kind of the part of the game. The music, I think, ties him with that really, really nice, and how it, again, I think I mentioned on day one's podcast and like the best level and best mission kind of design thing, I gave a shout out to the last like entire like last level of Peace, because it's so much shorter and it's always just like one thing with like no real enemies.
I don't know if I can make it anymore, guys.
And you just listen.
Dramatic reading.
Yeah, you just listen to music and nothing else. Basically, and you just like basically just walk. And there it ties in music like really, really well, right? And like I think like Rest Your Head on the Day and Hope I Die are both like, which are both like the last level / epilogue tracks, are both really, really good at that. And I think they tie in kind of the emotional beats and what you're kind of going for really well. It's like a little bit like of like maybe like junior high jams kind of music, like that kind of thing, but like I think done really well. It's a little bit like stuff that I could see in like 500 Days of Summer at certain moments. It's a little bit of stuff that I could see in like even at moments like Night in the Woods for some of these. And I think it just blends in really well with the story that's being told, and like uplifting music for the uplifting stuff and kind of more somber ones with like a kind of silver lining of like hope to certain of them. But it's really beautiful. Like I think the music is the best part of that game, right? Because I have issues with the game's mechanics and like platforming and like actual gameplay stuff. And the story beats are really good, but also don't always hit their mark or can be kind of a bit much, to kind of quote Jarrett. But the music, I feel like, is always so perfectly keyed and is always like spot on. Like there's never a bad track in that game. And every time like the cutscene would happen, I'd be excited to like learn more about like what's going on with Timmy and the people kind of in his life, but I'd be almost more excited to like listen to another great kind of like slice of music.
Is that the little man's name, Timmy?
Yes, that is the character's
I will say this is
Timmy
working
Molyneux.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, honestly, I have not really looked into this game at all in any way.
And Hope I Died.
Honestly,
really
but I was gonna say, like, when I saw the name Rage in Peace and now I've listened to music, I did not expect this kind of music from that, and that's cool.
It's way more. It's way more.
Even from the
quieter
look,
and kind of understated.
I think it looks
than you
ugly.
expect it to be.
Yeah, it's very somber.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
Yeah, it's very somber. Yeah.
I was expecting more like meat, like you've described it more as like a Meat Boy thing a lot. So
Yeah,
I
but
figured it was more like
it is
like
it
that
is
kind
basically
of
like the somber
crud rock or whatever. You
kind of
call
more
it.
like tragic version of Meat Boy, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think
Cool.
it tapped on like kind of more poignant version of Meat Boy.
Yeah, I like this a lot more than I thought it would.
Yeah,
I
I do too, but I still
Yeah,
But I still think with all of this other stuff here,
I
it's
don't.
Unfortunately,
You're the only one who played it.
Yeah, and like
also,
that's
like,
also a thing of like you're the only one who's played this still.
I'm certainly like, I'm ready to let go of the messenger.
Yeah, me too.
Feeling the stiff competition, which is a bummer.
This is a good soundtrack, man.
It's a very good soundtrack. If you haven't listened to it, just listen to Messenger. Play Messenger.
It's on Spotify.
It's on Spotify. It's good.
beware if you're listening on Spotify. Album A is 8-bit. Album B is 16-bit.
Oh,
They have it split that way on Bandcamp too. If you want to buy the music.
Yeah, so just know
cool.
that.
I would also probably let go of Donut County.
yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
And again, I would prefer to not be the villain. But for me, having just played it, Florence soundtrack did not necessarily speak to me.
Oh,
But
that's
I
when you're gonna
really liked how the music was used. I don't think the
Right.
music stood out to me, but I really liked the way it's used, which
Alex-
makes it complicated.
Yeah.
I will say.
I will just say that I think that's fine, and we'll listen to some of the tracks. But my big horse before walking into looking at this doc and looking at everyone's submissions was that Tetris is my personal favorite, and then I listened to Florence, and man,
Florence is really good.
it's so good.
Yeah.
I love
I think-
themes, and Florence has some good use of themes.
It's also a lot of like first love, like maybe it does. I don't know. Like, let's just start listening to some of them now because it sounds like this will be the conversation for it.
Also, shout out to us all being like, yeah, let's finally get to Elephant Room Smash, and then not talking about Smash.
I mean, that's fine. Smash is gonna be a long. Smash is gonna
Alex,
be a long thing.
Alex, turn this up. Turn this shit up.
It's real good. Yep. This is the one that gets me too, George.
It's so good.
It's
For
just
folks who've not played Florence,
yeah. And,
it's very fresh in my mind.
Yeah, Alex just played it literally.
I played it. I played it
So
like
did Mike,
40 minutes
yeah.
ago.
I played it.
Mike
Yeah,
played it like 2 nights ago.
yeah. I played it like literally. I couldn't sleep after our last Game of Year discussion. I was like kind of like laying in my bed, and I just like downloaded and played it all then.
And like, I think it ties in. It's just really good. It's just really
Play
beautiful
Dreams,
music.
Alex.
Yes, play Dreams. That's my favorite.
But for folks who don't know, Florence, the main character, meets Krish playing the cello on the street. Like, that's the first time she ever sees him. So his music is all cello, and her music is all piano. So when you hear it kind of going back and forth, it's used to typically indicate like a conversation or a moment together.
Yeah.
So when they're playing together,
Yeah.
it is them together, right? It is them, like the chemistry.
Yeah, and I think that's what like kind of you nailed on there for me personally, Alex, is like hearing this as it is just now, like kind of is fine, but I feel like as a more cohesive thing with all the other stuff attached to it, like made Florence stronger. But like I just like the music's not really doing anything for me right now as we're just listening to hear it on its own.
Again, like I love how it's used.
That's the thing for me where I feel like Florence uses music in a way to further its story than like any other game on this list. In this effect, like it's such an integral like part of that story. Like it's so key to like you can't like if you remove the music from Florence, that game just wouldn't work in the same way. Like that game is just fundamentally different, right? Like it's so embedded. It's almost the third character of that game where it's so important to everything, like every interaction, right? Like whether it is Krish and they're like that's literally how they meet, right? It's like she follows the notes to meet Krish to like first kind of encounter him and fall in love and like that story and everything. Like it's so important to the story and how it like it's wedded to kind of what the tale of these two characters, I think. And also the fact that like it just is really beautiful music, right? Like it nails, I think, falling in love to George's point. It nails kind of like the feelings of kind of like anxiousness before they meet. It nails feelings of kind of like the golden kind of days of love where everything's working so well. It nails kind of falling apart. It nails the post-breakup just being devastating feelings. It nails kind of recovery and hope. Like it covers and nails every emotion so pitch perfectly. And like I know it just said the same thing for Rage and Peace, but like Florence is one where it's like there's not a bad track in the game. Like every track is so perfectly tuned to what they're trying to kind of convey and tell you through the story, right? And in the same way that Quinn talked about whatever game it was for him, where like there's no the Gardens Between, where there's no dialogue in that game, right? Like there's no dialogue in Florence, and so like the music is a way to kind of help convey those emotions and feelings and thoughts even like more powerfully, and I think it does it so effectively.
I will say though, real quick, that I feel strongly about this, but also I think all these nominees are very good.
Totally.
So I would be comfortable if we just kept it for now.
Yeah, I mean, we're like we still have conversations to have. Is like, you know,
we haven't even talked about Smash yet, which is ultimately that's the elephant in the room that we just keep avoiding at this point.
I want to say though, I agree with you, Logan, and like I think like saying it's the third character in that game is a really good way to put it. But I also think everything you said about another game on this list, and I think that game does it a lot better, which is Tetris Effect for me.
Yeah.
So
That's
like,
a good sentiment.
I'm like, you know, I'm with you halfway.
And that's the other thing. It's like, man, I walked into this and I still feel that I have a hard time seeing a list without Tetris Effect, man. Like, fuck, Tetris Effect is so good.
And like that's
Tetris
another.
Effect is going to be in the top 3. I feel like there's no.
I
it's like there's no arguing.
Curation thing too. Like I know it sucks because we can only have 3 games on here, but it's so hard for me to see Smash and Tetris Effect not in the top 3.
Yeah.
And I thought about starting this conversation of like, hey, it's gonna be Smash and Tetris Effect. Let's just pick the third because I don't want to fucking ring around the rosy like this. But like that's a shitty way to do it. And
sure.
Yeah, because it ultimately brings like we all.
It's productive.
Yeah, it's productive, and it kind of brings down every other thing when like you said, these ultimately, like you said at the top of the show, like this is just us, ultimately our opinions. It's not a like ultimate. It's not an end all be all of like, hey, any of these are actually bad. It's just what we like more ultimately, and that's like, okay. You can like the other things.
What Logan said like about God of War, of like all three of us, I think, are definitely going to have a different top three. It's just trying to meet in the middle and understanding and respecting one another's opinions.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Smash Brothers.
All right, so let me. So I have a lot of things. So let me just go. Honestly, I kind of have a script ready.
Yeah,
so I'll
cue
you. I will also cue you when to tell you to play music and certain tracks. Because let me just say, following up what George kind of started saying earlier, I'm just gonna say it as the elephant in the room. To blatantly outright say Smash is just a compilation album is profoundly reductive and completely naive. You like that blatantly tells me you don't know how any of this shit works. And that's what George was staying on. You don't know how IPs and franchises and all this stuff worked. It's not some fucking guy at Nintendo being like, "Oh, I got a bunch of Mario music in this iTunes playlist. Let me just throw it in." Like they still have to meet and contract and all this stuff, or even just the music that comes into this game from the previous games. Even like we made Smash music and Brawl and Wii U and 3DS. Like they have to like do that all for that music too. They have to do it for all the Mario music. They have to do it for literally every fucking Nintendo franchises in this game. They have to do it for every single thing, on top of all these third-party franchises that are now also in the game, like Castlevania, Mega Man. I mean, there's only two Final Fantasy tracks, but they still gotta do it with that.
Didn't pick up those phone calls.
And exactly, that's like a case in point of like showing that like that's not that simple, considering that like Final Fantasy VII is like some 10 fucking year old game. They couldn't get like a third track from it.
Can't have Rad Race.
Like and like you can't have whatever. So like it's completely reductive just because of all the music they like this. There's 876 music tracks in this game.
But the thing is, and like
wait.
Let me just continue.
Let's do one at a time. Mike, just
let me just continue what I'm saying, because there's it's gonna go for a while, and like you just have to fucking deal with this.
We've got Mike's heated gaming moment here.
Yeah, let's go.
There's 870. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's that heated. It's 876 tracks. Yes, there's a lot of music that was already from other games in it, and again, it is important that like it is that, but that also is reductive of there's literally 5 hours of entirely new arrangements. Like new remixes that were made specifically for Smash Ultimate, new menu themes, new like background tracks and menus. All of that stuff was made completely for this game. All like they did all the work. Like not only is it just new arrangements, it's one of the biggest collaborations that exists in video games. You can literally say there's no other video game or thing that like, even other mediums that exist that like have this like literally when we start playing through tracks, I have names of composers and the composers that did each track, that what games they were tied to, and some of them are just like, whoa, what the fuck, that dude did a track for this game, why? And that's because like all it was Sakurai just going like, hey, do you want to do a song for this game? Why not? And like it's this insane collaboration of composers and performers and artists all over the Japanese gaming like community, and like that's insane to think of. Like there's literally no other game or group or society that does that. Like there's no other like thing in games, things in even like movies and shit that like do that. And I think that's something in itself to be celebrated, that like this entire community came together to like collaborate and make all this stuff. And like not only that, but also like give them respect they deserve, because you can go into the music list in Smash and it'll say here's this new remix, here's the composer that worked on it, and here's like their attachment to it, and then you can take it with yourself and like thinking of like how other Japanese games handle like how they actually like show and respect their developers. Like that's like an insane thing for them to do, especially Nintendo. Like it's an insane thing. So I have more. We can either Quinn can say what he wants to say, or we can get into the music, and I have the list of composers that I'll call out.
And see, Mike, that was my thing. The tracks you chose here, I was like, man, you're gonna come at these tracks are innate, but I agree with your arguments.
I mainly chose them because they are like there's it's remixes and it's a spread of them, because like the composers that are specifically attached to them, like another point I was going to bring up was like, not only do they have to make all this new music that they've and bring over things, they have to like remix this music to work in the fact that like characters are fighting on screen. Like they have to take Animal Crossing music, they take fucking Animal Crossing music, Wii Fit music, Pilot Wings music, Tamagotchi Life music.
Tamagotchi Life, baby!
Like they take all of these they take these games where it's literally like fucking Mii's like talking to each other, and they have to make that music work in a fighting game. Like,
I'll say like one thing that Nabashin says on our podcast that he's been saying recently when we were talking about Smash Brothers on a recent episode is like it has become a celebration of Japanese video game development in a way that like you look at what that franchise started as and what it is now. Like we also talked about like when that track dropped, like the composer of Nier Automata did
he's on there
music in this for like no fucking reason. Like at some point
that's the crazy thing.
The Music Elite Squad at Nintendo at Store Limited was like, we want the best of the fucking best Japanese composers.
Yeah,
and it worked on.
And it wasn't just specifically like Sakurai going like, hey, you do this song. It was like they reached out to those people and like gave them a track list. And they were just like, if you want to do these songs, one of these songs, just let us know. Or if you just tell us what you want to do, and then just do it. And then like that's all that was. It was a huge collaboration of literally hundreds of Japanese composers and artists and other things. Like that just doesn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah, to your point, Mike. Like it's hard to be like, why wouldn't you want to like if you're the Japanese game development, like just like circle, right?
Yeah.
And specifically the music, why wouldn't you want to be part of this? Like literally.
Exactly.
Everyone's here.
Everyone is here. Like the biggest franchises and legacies are all here, and it's like it makes complete sense. And the range of composers they gave. Like,
hit that Smash 4 theme, Alex.
I don't know why. Like that was like a weird one to choose. Like
that's the good one. What you chose this week.
the ultimate main, like you call it a medley too. It's just the main theme from Wii U, 3DS.
Hold on,
it's fucking good.
I'm having some technical.
I mean, it's in there, but I would say I like the ultimate theme more personally.
Quinn, you want to say something?
And I'm happy. This is also the fire that I wanted. I wanted this conversation.
Yeah, this is good, Mike.
And that's kind of why, like, I was being me in Slack today. I was like, I want to have this conversation for music because I listen to music so much that it is an integral part of my life. But the thing is, and like Smash needs to be celebrated regardless. Like it needs to be as a game, as like with its music and just the biggest culture there is. It needs to be celebrated, honestly. But when Joe Schmo, me, plays Smash, I'm playing it in my brother's room and we're just yelling at each other playing Smash the way we do. Battlefield only items off. And we barely hear the music. And when I play World of Light, I'm Alex. I'm listening to podcasts when I'm playing World of Light.
I mean, you already said you have bad taste with your fucking no items.
I mean, just because you don't listen to it specifically doesn't mean like it's not there.
Sure.
That's not
talking
really.
About Moonlighter. Alex played.
Yeah.
And even though like I'm being me and like saying, "Hey, it's a compilation album," but no, it needs to be celebrated, and it is going to be on this list. I am voting for this fucking soundtrack to be on this fucking list.
Okay. So let's be real with all of us here. Is this list Celeste, Tetris, Smash?
Yes.
I think like the only one of us that's gonna walk away pretty dissatisfied with that is Logan, which sucks. I think Logan had to step away for a second also.
Yeah, I mean, mine would be Smash, Octopath, and Tetris.
Mine would be probably Smash, Tetris, and Celeste. Like that's a really good list, I think.
I'm with Mike. I'm Octo, Tetris, and Smash.
I mean,
Well, Quinn, do you want to make your Celeste argument? No,
I don't think Quinn has to fight for Celeste alone here, though. Like,
no, me either. I like it. Like I said,
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of.
I would say like it's one of those things where I don't dislike it either by any means, but it's like ultimately I had stronger
yeah, you
more enjoyment
Yeah.
out of that, and that's all. That's ultimately just
I
what
feel like
it
we all
is.
know.
Yeah.
It just what it comes down to on that one.
Mhm.
But
And
if-
I will
but-
say, go ahead. Mike.
Go ahead, Quinn.
No,
Um,
that's all.
Okay. Celeste, like, I don't. Okay, so there's only 2 game soundtracks that I've listened to, like this year. It's the Ollie Ollie 2 soundtrack
Hell
and
yeah,
it's
dude.
Celeste soundtrack.
You're
Like you
around.
mean like in depth, obviously.
And like, no, like I'll just listen to those separately.
No,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, just to
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
clarify.
yeah.
The way
Outside
you
of the
worded
game.
it, been like I want to listen to 2
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
and like, I don't need to fucking talk about Ollie Ollie 2 in this fucking podcast.
We won't let you. We won't let you.
Yeah, we won't
That's-
let you, but
But the thing is, for me, Celeste, like I remember playing that game and listening to that soundtrack. Like I remember going for the first level and hearing that, then hearing Resurrections and going, then to where I just got to reach for the summit, and it's just, it is a compilation of all the music.
Hell yeah, there it
It
is.
is so fucking good.
yeah, I'm with you on this one. Like, this was the soundtrack I came back to most of the time throughout the year. Obviously, like, I listened to more than just Celeste and like Tetris and Smash. Like, I would say those were the big 3 for me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like the Celeste is the single video game soundtrack I listened to the most this year on loop while I was writing. I will say this too, because I don't. Let me see if this is the whole.
Can I add
soundtrack.
something too? To
Yeah,
Celeste? I listened to an interview with Jeff Keighley and Lena Rain.
Is this the podcast?
Yeah, and it was the Game Awards podcast,
Yeah.
and finding out how she made this soundtrack is so awesome and so interesting. So
Mhm.
basically, Matt and Noel would send her just like some parts of levels, the like pre-alpha levels, and she built the soundtrack as she played the game. It wasn't
Oh,
like
that's
she
cool.
went in blind and made the soundtrack. She basically, as they were building the game, she built the soundtrack.
I can't confirm this, but I believe the Messenger soundtrack was built in a very similar way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And also the B-sides have like folks
what I was
like
gonna bring
up.
Krista
I mean-
Lee and Maxo, where
Yeah.
people I really like. I love Krista Lee.
Like
like Too Mellow and all that. And it's like
Two Mellows in it too, yeah. So
the
Mhm.
the B-side C-side music is fucking dope. They're all remixes of the original stage soundtrack by other composers and DJs.
Mhm.
And they're like they go hard sometimes. I'm trying to get to where it gets pretty wild.
and that's why it's like, but it's just good. Like it's honestly the best soundtrack, personally, this year.
Yeah, I mean, like it's one of my favorites too. Like I echo. So this is the B-sides for level 3.
I also personally just like the story of it, that how big this soundtrack blew up, and that she's now sort of like the indie game music lady.
I mean, that was just kind of like the game period, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
Like
yeah.
it just
And,
became pretty much the indie darling of the year.
Surprising, some would say.
And
Yeah.
like yeah, I was going to say words, but they're gone.
Who needs them?
Like I don't know, man, like there are no losers here. I'll say that, right?
It's all
For-
great.
Definitely.
For listeners, like we're at Octopath, Celeste, Florence, Tetris, Smash, and Rage in Peace. Like
I get, yeah.
these
Yeah.
are certainly,
Mhm.
having just listened to them, these are my favorites. Especially hearing the stuff that all of you guys have said. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I fucking love Tetris Effect, but Mike's hype really just got me in a big way.
The funniest part is we didn't even listen to any of the music.
No, we
Yeah,
didn't.
really.
We didn't.
I see what you talk about. Like in a very similar vein to like what Logan said about the Rage in Peace soundtrack. Like I don't know,
Tetris
like there's not a bad
Right.
pick right now, and
No.
like, we're gonna
Totally.
have to make some deep cuts here, and I know that sucks, but like
I mean, we all
there-
kind of.
there are no hard feelings.
I mean,
here.
we kind of started saying our threes. I don't think Logan was the only one who wasn't able to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
you were. I think you were out of the
Three.
room for a second.
I was out of the room for a second. Yeah.
So I mean, of these 6, yes, of these 6, what would you put as your 3, Logan?
Is this
I mean,
his
Octopath-
3 personally or 3 like within
His
this
3
conversation?
personally.
I can give both, right? Like Octopath is nothing for me, obviously. Like that's just not. I haven't played a single second of Octopath. Like I haven't listened to that soundtrack other than today when I listened to before this podcast and on the podcast. That's just my personal kind of taste. I respect it what it is. Celeste, I've just been notoriously like I just don't get the game. Like it just has not like the music is another part where it's like it just does absolutely nothing for me, which sucks, but it's like it just doesn't.
Mhm.
And so then it's like Smash, Tetris, Florence, and Rage in Peace. Tetris, I would say, is on the list because Tetris is like it's gonna be that thing of like I've never for 25 years or 26 years I've never understood Smash. It's like I haven't. I just don't get. I actively don't get.
I'm living 4 years on this planet, having kind of gotten it. So.
Yeah, and so it's that thing of like, Smash for me is the one like the ultimate example. Like I respect the shit out of that soundtrack. Like everything Mike said is totally true, and like got me hyped. It's like, yeah, this game soundtrack is insane. It is a staggering, Kevin made work and like piece of art. It is incredible. Having said that, I would pick Tetris and I'd pick Florence and I'd pick Rage of Peace because they're my personal things.
Right.
Having also said that, if I'm then to be like, all right, what are the 3 games you'd like pick to be on the thing? That's a different question. Well, then it's like, all right, we'll probably pick Smash on that top 3 list, obviously. And then it's like, I don't know, I have to kill a baby at that point between Rage in Peace and Florence because I'd assume that then I'm going to pick Tetris as the other one, or I just feel like that's where the crowd has gone at this point. And send it to Florence and Rage in Peace, I'm going to pick Florence because I have more votes on that one. I have more like people to go with me on that one, I feel like. And so that would be the 3 that I'd be like, this is the 3 that I think can live. And then we go for like the winner, and at that point, then it becomes a mess. Like,
we don't want to talk about the winner yet. Let's get there.
Yeah,
like,
let's just get the the 3.
Let's get to the
that would
3
be the 3 that I would say.
Scott, how are you
That has a
feeling?
chance.
Yeah, Scott.
I think what I'm hearing from everybody and from like Mike and I, why we're including Octopath, I think what this soundtrack is what this list is really showing is each person's investment in. They have a very strong feeling connected to the games they've played. Like I haven't played much of Celeste, so the music sounds good, but I don't have that emotional investment into it. And like a lot of you guys, I think Mike and I are the only ones that have played Octopath, and we're the only ones that have that emotional investment into that game. Like with Logan in Rage in Peace, he's the only one that's played that game, so he has that emotional connection to that game. So I think it's for at least the 3rd game, we all have our own separate or like the things we connect to because we've played those games and we've made that connection between that soundtrack. And in terms of Octopath, each character having their own sound or their own track specifically and how it ties and flows into the battle music, and we attribute that to our favorite character and the emotions going through their stories. And with Celeste, the story and the deep connection you guys have with the whole story arc that you were talking to with the level design when we were having the level design talk, I think that's where it's all coming in. I think this would be a very interesting I think I would love to come back a couple months from now after like we've all played all the games, all like these last group of games, and then have this discussion all over again and see if anything changed. But that's just my feeling. Like I have an emotional connection to Octopath that I don't have with Celeste, I don't have with Florence, I don't have with Rage in Peace. And those soundtracks from the clips they played all sound amazing. Like they all sound great. It's just that connection I have with Octopath that I just don't have with the rest. So
it's a very Alex O'Neill answer. I appreciate
Yeah, that's the most Alex O'Neill. Man, I'm gonna say I don't know how I turned into the guy who's willing to make sacrifices, but I'm willing to cut Tetris for.
Here's the thing, George, because I'm like I want to make other people happy.
How did I become you? How the fuck?
I ruined you.
You guys know, you guys understand how much I cared about Tetris, and even before this game came out, the fact
Mizuguchi's finally getting his.
Here's the thing, like
all these songs are better than Shinin'. All of them are better than Shinin'. That's what I'll say. They're all better than Shinin'.
Man, why couldn't Persona have come out this year, that would be
No, then
See,
then
I
it
don't-
wouldn't.
I
You know, it'd be
I don't
easy.
wanna
We
get
just
George
put
in here.
Rage in Peace in there. I don't know. Fucking-
How do you Donkey Kong
Trash
Tropical Freeze
talking.
came out this
there
year?
we go.
Dude,
Put in
I'm
there.
so thankful Nier didn't come out this year. I can't even begin. I
Wait,
never want to have that
didn't it come out?
conversation
Didn't it come
with
out on
George.
Xbox this year?
That's very true. You know,
Put it on the list.
Technicality.
Put it on the list.
talk about
Uh,
transitions. Let me tell you about how the tracks in Nier transition.
Hey
You
George,
Tell me about this fucking language that he made or whatever.
Huh?
George, I'm got Tetris.
Here's the thing. If we were to let go Tetris,
I don't know what other W Tetris is gonna get though.
yeah, exactly. Like I don't know.
I saw-
Like if we were to let go Tetris, this I see it being Smash wins. It's Smash Florence and Celeste.
Okay.
That's what happens. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. I think that is like the thing that makes the most people kind of happy, and George and I will just be bitter about it forever.
I mean, if that's the case, then I'd rather. I mean, like, I like Tetris way more than I like Smash the soundtrack. Because then you put me. If that's the case, then it's like, well, I'd rather Tetris win.
You know,
if you
Detroit
don't-
Become Human had some really melodramatic.
Yo, can we play
violin
Connor's
in
thing
it.
real quick though? Because that's
It's great.
That
It's
shit
actually
slaps.
Yeah.
It is. It
Just
is
flash
actually great.
problematic.
So
on
like,
the
if that's the
screen.
case, then I'd rather, I'd rather
as we
Tetris
try and get
stay,
Detroit on the top 3.
so we can have a
Um,
chance to win. Because I
let's-
like that. That music is way more something for me than Smash. Because again, I just
What
don't
about
understand it.
what about
Because then I'd be like, let's do like, you know-
Octopath, Tetris, Smash?
No,
No, then like
Such a-
nobody's happy.
I mean,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's no.
Wait. I mean, that was the 3. What you said?
Mike's happy.
Octopath, Tetris, and Smash.
Mike's happy.
I mean, that's the
Mike's
one.
happy.
I
Mike's
mean, that's
very
the one
happy.
me and Scott picked.
Yeah, I like.
But I
here's
mean,
the-
like,
let's-
I'm fine. I mean, I don't. I would say even as like the quote unquote resident Tetris hater.
Mhm.
You painted yourself as one, by the way.
Yeah, that's fair. Like it seems unanimously like Smash and Tetris should be at least the 2 on there. It's trying to decide the 3rd.
I like. Let's talk about.
We haven't
the
even.
Tetris.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I was
haven't
gonna
really
say,
talked
we
about
haven't even talked
Tetris.
about
May I,
Tetris.
as
Absolutely.
I am ought to say my piece here.
Say the
Uh,
piece, preach.
The thing that I'm curious like where you're at with this, George, as my resident Tetris buddy. The thing that I love about the Tetris Effect soundtrack is that, so it reminds me a lot of my favorite album of all time, which is an album called "Run with the Hunted" by a band called Sky Hill. It is
and
in
Alex
a lot of
talks
ways.
about this.
There's a mention of it. Not I wish there's something written about it somewhere out there. It's not published. But in a lot of ways, Tetris Effect is a concept album.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which is really cool. I think it is delivering a message. And I know this is like not new shit to Mizuguchi.
Sure, yeah.
But like I think Tetris in a lot of ways is the game itself is a metaphor for the human condition. So like writing an album about the human condition and having it accompanied by a puzzle game that very much complements that is really cool. But specifically the way that the soundtrack is framed, if you play that game front to back, is like, in my opinion, incredible. It is there's kind of a thesis laid out in the first song, which is the first level is called Into the Deep, which plays a song Yours Forever, by Linda Brady. Kate Brady, I might be it. Her last name's Brady, I believe. But I'm
Brady.
sorry, I'm really bad with names. But it's very cool in that the opening track plays out like this, and I'm gonna kind of skip ahead in it because it's very
Yeah, it's got some build.
um
There you go.
but the first track is this kind of very beautiful theme that kind of sets off this journey, and like there are a lot of different ways to read it, like as with any kind of good concept album.
Read the whale.
It is kind of with a whale. It's kind of like a thesis in a lot of ways of this woman, and the way to interpret the lyrics of it, of like I'm yours forever, you know, we're all connected, things like that. is that she's talking to her lover. I'm sorry, Logan, that you have to hear all this again.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine.
But what's cool is you hear this, and it's like this super beautiful, intimate song that kind of crescendos and then leads into these other songs that are these different cultures and these different sounds, and these different feelings, these different representations of humanity and the things that we as a species have accomplished. And then it kind of crescendos into this beautiful song that plays during the credits, which is kind of like a remix of this first song. So it kind of plays at the very front and at the very back. But everything changes with like a single line of lyrics, which is "When you were born, everything changed." And that is like it is this same song again, played at the beginning about love, sung now to the woman's child as like everything changed when you were born. We're all connected because we literally are. And it like works as this kind of closed parentheses of the soundtrack of like, this is life from beginning to end and beginning again. And it is a very literal interpretation of we are connected because we come from one another.
Give me more here, Alex. This is the one.
In a very physical way.
Yeah.
And it brings like that again plays during the end of the credits to the very end of the game where it cuts to black. And it just, I had a moment because like the first time I finished it was with Quinn, and I was like, oh, the credits are playing, whatever, it's good. And then I went back and I played it by myself, front to back, in one sitting, and I had an epiphany moment of like hearing that and like letting it all sink in, and it like really affected me in a way that like is hard for me to convey in words. I'm getting a little choked up, so I apologize. But like
Crybaby Coalition.
Crybaby Coalition. It was just like the soundtrack to Tetris fundamentally changed me as a person. I know that sounds super dramatic, but like that is like the angle that I come at this from. Like when I say like it's a concept album, it's a very like literal interpretation, I know, and I know like in some ways it's reductive, but for me it is like only a boon. It is only building it up. And it was very new to me, and it was a great experience. Like it was a great front to back musical experience. And I like, honest to God, cannot say that I've ever had that experience before with a video game, and I don't think I ever will again.
It's over. It's all downhill from
That's where I'm coming out. Yeah, so it's really, and that's been 2018 for me. It's all downhill.
Oh God. Sorry, I just got too
Well,
ready.
That's where I'm.
Guess it's just not gonna hang.
Yeah, so I guess it's just not gonna hang.
Well, cut it from the list. It's over. Pour one out.
All right. Yeah, I like. Yeah, I don't want. I think we just need to come to a decision.
What do you have any thoughts of your own, George? Because again, that's like very much my personal take on it. I don't know how you feel about it.
Sure. I don't think I had as a profound effect. I think for mine, can you play? Let's see. Play the next chapter. Play next chapter.
You got it.
And for me, I come from it from a lot less profound place where Alex comes. I like Mizuguchi's. I like Rez. I haven't played Rez, but I listened to the entire soundtrack of Rez like multiple times. And I just really like the sort of. I just like the very, very good like the way he approaches techno music, because he's produced all these tracks. He didn't like write and like sing all of them.
Obviously.
Yeah,
that'd be
but
dope.
it all has his touch, and it all has this like very specific take on futurism, like life itself and technology. And I don't know, like Alex mentioned a lot of it. This was just my favorite track, one of my favorite tracks from the game. I don't know if I can't even hear it that well. Logan, Alex, can you give me a little bit more?
It's loud for me, so I don't know how loud it is for you guys.
Yeah, you can't hear it. That's fine though. But yeah, this is the one that comes after Yours Forever. It's this really intense, like it's like kind of like basic techno, but I don't know, like with the Tetris and like having come after yours forever, it's like, all right, let's fucking go. Like if that's
Yeah.
the
Right.
intro, like this is us like just sprinting to like let's just go. Yeah, I don't know. I really like Tetris a lot.
Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing I want to reiterate here is that there is no wrong answer here.
These are all great fucking soundtracks, man.
These are all
Mhm.
soundtracks that I think, most of all, like you said, Scott, we are all very invested in. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm. And that's
it
awesome.
is going
Like,
to hurt
that
to
we have
lose
it.
any of them. It's not a thing of like, I'm not trying to hurt anyone in
Yeah.
particular. It is a, it comes with a job.
So where are we at, folks? Can we let go of Octopath?
Yeah, I'm with no one else but Mike and I playing Octopath. That seems to be the
I can't even play it.
Yeah. I mean, if ultimately, like, if Scott's willing to let it, like, he's already willing to let it go, I'm fine with it.
I would, with as much as like Tetris means to Alex and George, and I've listened to it and I really like the tracks and everything. I would hate to see Octopath take a spot that could take, or that Tetris could take, and it's like I'll always have Octopath and a
Yeah,
soundtrack
yeah,
and
exactly.
everything like that. So
Totally.
It's
I would say
it-
that about any of these that are ultimately not going to make our whatever. Like, it's not like
exactly.
they're going
Sure.
anywhere.
And I think the
It's
argument
not
you
like
made-
we can't celebrate them in other
Yeah.
ways.
Right.
The Octopath you made for Octopath made me see it in a different way. Like I thought it was good when I listened to it, but I also sort of felt like it was very JRPG. But
Yes.
you made me see the
Mhm.
depth in it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll say that.
It
So what
does. If you haven't experienced the story, it does sound just like another. Oh, this
Yeah,
just sounds like
for sure.
another fantasy
Sure.
JRPG
Yeah.
orchestra track.
Yeah,
It's
and
not.
I,
Yeah,
and I-
and it's not
I'm sorry.
until you get to experience those characters and see just how their tracks relate back to their personalities and what they're going through, and we never even touched upon like the various towns and village soundtracks
Yeah.
are fantastic as well.
mhm.
But it without that connection built or experience to be able
Mhm.
to interact with those characters, I think it would just come across as like a generic
Yeah.
JRPG soundtrack.
And I appreciate you guys giving me the contrast because
Yeah,
that's how I felt. But I didn't want to say that because obviously I don't want to
Yeah.
hurt anyone. But that's how I felt.
and that's why I, at least like from
Mm-hmm.
the songs I put in there, I wanted to emphasize like
Mhm.
their use of the music, because ultimately I agree with what Scott said. Like, there's a lot of really good tracks in the game that are like very tied to like moments for
happening,
characters, what's happening, or like a place you're in. Like, I think like whenever you're in a snow area, all the music that's in any of the snow areas is like fucking incredible, and I love all of it.
So beautiful.
But I didn't put any of it because it's that
Mhm.
thing of like, oh, it just kind of sound like music that would be in any snow level in like a big open JRPG area.
right.
But
All right,
I think
guys.
it's, but yeah, if Scott's willing to let it down, I'm also willing.
So basically, I feel like we can all. I feel like we're all at the place where Tetris and Smash are in the top three.
Yes.
Like pretty
Yeah.
uniform space.
Mhm.
The question becomes Celeste, Florence, and Rage and Peace. And I feel like we can get rid of Rage and Peace. Sure, fine. The question becomes Celeste and Florence. That's gonna be the.
Oh, I thought we were done with that part. I thought Celeste was locked.
I'm definitely not here for that part. That's I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like-
I've already killed one of my babies, and it's like that's fine. 'Cause I've
Man.
personally played it, and that's not a big deal. But like,
Logan, I love Florence a lot, but
actively think Celeste is the weakest on this entire list. Like, I
I-
actively think I
I
don't,
disagree.
and like that's fair.
I-
That's
Yeah.
totally fair. But like, I
Mhm.
I
actively
love
think like
Florence.
I listen to this, and it's like I think Celeste. We're not doing that. But like, I think Florence is really. I
If
think
I
that's
was to-
such a incredible soundtrack. Like, I think it's such and like how it's tied into that game to me is like
Sure, I agree.
elevates that to like another level. I think.
For me, Florence is above Celeste, but in terms of these conversations, I think it's Celeste. Like, I think the way that music, like Donna Joe, like my partner, doesn't. I saw Celeste. It's like this game looks like fucking boring nonsense, like every indie game.
Shout out
But
to
that
Donna Joe for being
soundtracks, like
too
just
harsh.
forward. It does so much. It does so much heavy lifting to make that game stand out, just from aesthetically and like for me. I know for you, Logan, it doesn't do anything, but I think it's so optimistic and it's so full of energy and and it sounds like Lena, and I like her music a whole fucking lot. So for
And
me, there's no, that's just, I don't know.
And like I don't know, and like that's I mean like obviously, I mean that's what you drew from me, but I don't know, like I listened to like me and George, I feel like have been the guys who trying to bang the drum the loudest in Florence, and it's like I look at these two games, which is what it is. It's
I'm really glad I played that game before these conversations.
Florence, and it's like I don't know, like I feel like I look at Florence and how it uses music, and look at Celeste and how it uses music, and they each use it to kind of I think evoke certain like emotions and feelings and themes, and to kind of propel the story and kind of reveal kind of the layers of characters. But I think that at the very least for me, the way that is wedded to the characters so intensely and so like deliberately in Florence, right? Like whereas again, like I said, I think at the very beginning for Florence, like that game doesn't exist without the music. Celeste is a game that it is a platform. So like that ultimately the game is different. The game is changed without the music, but that game can exist with the music. But Florence is a game you just like the game literally wouldn't function.
I would not care about that game as much without the music. That's
and that's totally. I think it's true of any of these games, but I think ultimately it's a game you can like. It's just like Florence was just like this is just like I don't what is like it is the game. In a way that I think like Tetris that music is like this. It's just not really the same thing anymore. But if like Celeste, like for me, it's that thing of like I haven't even thought of the music in Celeste. It's not even that like I don't like it. Just like it's just totally been like all right,
it's not registered with you.
It's just background noise music happen kind of thing. It's like that's just cool, like 8-bit kind of like platform music kind of thing. And it's like neat. It's not bad. It's good. It's fine. But it's like I felt like no sort of like this like elevates the game to a whole nother level. And like obviously that's my own personal thing. And at least 3 of us don't agree with me. But like I wasn't like immediately struck by it like I was like Florence, or like immediately hit home with like this operatic note like I was for like God of War, like these other kind of games. Like it doesn't kind of stand in your face and like demand you pay attention to it like Tetris Effect does, or even like Smash does to a degree where it's got 8,000 million bazillion like tracks and kind of thing. It's like it's something very different in Celeste that isn't objectively any worse or better, but it's just different. And I think that in this conversation with this thing, where we're already having 2 games in Tetris and Smash that are kind of more that are different kind of soundtracks. That when trying to pick like an original one in that vein.
Logan, I will say that if we were making 3, I think Florence would win it between you and I, but I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I want to hear what you have to say, Quinn, and then I do want to like touch on everyone else's about these games as well.
Oh man,
Alex, can you play the track "Anxiety" from Celeste?
Let me find it.
I think that moment in Celeste is probably the best, and that's when the music is at its highest, and that's when it.
What section is that from?
When you're on the gondola, and you're trying. And you're struggling, and you're having a panic attack.
Breathe further in there.
Bear with me, guys. Hang on. Everyone, calm down.
Nobody move.
I'm fine. I'm good.
That
shop.
That track stands out so much in my mind because as someone who's suffered panic attacks, like literally all last year, I had like super bad anxiety, and like this year, oh my God, it's tracks like that which are just calm. And it just gets in your face when it rises. And it's soundtrack does
Can you lower the audio, Alex, a little bit?
Sorry. Again, I don't know how loud it is for you guys.
That's good. I can't hear Quinn very well.
And then it rises, like you're having that, like all your stressors are activating, all your panics are coming out, and it's done so well. And it's the music in Celeste stands above. Like personally, it stands above Tetris, and I fucking love the Tetris Effect soundtrack, and I love Smash. Don't get me wrong, but it helps build that cohesive theme, which I really think a soundtrack is meant to do. Soundtrack help builds, like in a movie, a soundtrack builds that theme, and it builds like the motif, and that's why Celeste is so well done, is because it carries those motifs in its soundtrack. And Smash even though it's like a technological.
I don't. I mean, I've smashed it on the list. I feel like just focus on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
list.
I know, but like
Yeah.
we're making comparisons.
And like for Florence, I think that argument fits.
You even played Florence.
And no, I haven't.
Okay.
Sorry, my hands are dirty.
I just want to be explicit about that.
And I think that argument
It's
for
on the
Florence
record.
fits in best style. Not to discredit its soundtrack at all,
It is very
but the
stylish.
fact that
It's awesome to style stuff. It's there. Don't worry.
no, I know. But the fact that it's using
No, I know.
its soundtrack to tell a story, that inherently is unique, and that's why I think that game would fit better and it will argue better in best style. And like, not to discredit it at all. I like, from what I heard, it's classical. It's like a cello and a piano, and I think that's
Very
great.
good.
But along, like, Celeste stands alone because it helps. There's already the narrative, and then it's the soundtrack above, and those two layers are so cohesive and so well done.
I really think that game would be nothing for me without that.
But I
soundtrack.
think, I mean, to me, like you, in such a weird way, I think highlighted the ultimate dichotomy here, where it's like you chose that explicit track and that explicit moment from Celeste. And that's the moment I did just like that was me, just like that is to me literally just background noise in that moment. Like it's just like there's no sort of like soaringness, there's no thing that's kind of crashing down. It's just kind of music gets happening as the feathers on the screen. It's like I saw that moment like this is nice. I like this moment a lot, but it's like that music is just kind of there. Right, and I think that's the ultimate kind of point where it's like we get two very different things out of
That's
Celeste.
what is the most subjective category.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's-
Two fundamentally different things. Like even in that moment, even that music, listening to that, I'm like, yeah, like that wasn't even. That's not the track I would have picked from Celeste to give it its best defense. That's one for me. It's like that is just background noise music, right? And like that's to George's point why this is the most subjective category. But it's like that hides the difference where we're just literally just there's a gulf between us on this point.
And see, I think this goes back to, especially with this third game, it's like we all are pretty much divided because all of us have played like a couple games or like one game and we feel really strongly about it.
Ultimately, I feel like it's gonna be a Mike and Scott thing. 'Cause I feel like it's 2 and 2. So ultimately, it's gonna be I feel like we're Mike and Scott are out on this. To a large degree.
I think it's.
I mean, I'm
like,
not gonna help either of you, to be honest.
I mean,
with
like,
my
I don't-
thoughts on it. So
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to put it to a vote either.
No,
Yeah.
but like I'm just saying,
No.
like I feel like we're just not. I mean, like I feel like we're gonna need their input to kind of figure out the impasse
I
ultimately.
feel like the room is with Celeste, but maybe I'm just misreading.
Like
it.
I'll say like for me with Celeste, like I'm definitely like in the camp. I'm in your camp, but with Celeste, Logan, of like when I played Florence, a lot of things kind of bled into the background for me. It was like there are specific moments where, again, the way the music was used spoke to me, but like the music itself didn't, and like which keep in mind I played it like 2 hours ago, so like I haven't had any
Coming
time
in
to kind
hot, yeah.
Hasn't digested yet.
I haven't ruminated on it in any regard, but like I've been thinking about Celeste since January. It's one of my favorite games from this year, and like to part the kind of personal veil more, because again this category is very personal for me. Like I have not had to deal with anxiety until this year, where it has become it's not, and it has become a part of me, and like what's been great for me too is like having known Quinn for multiple years now. Like I remember last year you telling me how anxious you were, and like
Sucked.
yeah, and like you coming to me before PAX East and saying like, hey, like I deal with anxiety, and like I don't know how I'm gonna do with this, and like you were really happy because like you didn't have to, it wasn't an issue, right? Like that, hearing that song like made me anxious, like in a way. Like Celeste evoked that, like the moment where Theo is walking you through breathing in a way to keep the feather balanced, where is when that music plays, like really really affected me, and so like in the same regard, like music is like for Celeste is very intricately linked to those moments for me. The thing that I like about Celeste on top of that, and this isn't like to say one in favor of one over the other, this is just what I like about the Celeste soundtrack, is like I think the main soundtrack that Lena did through is a good front to back narrative through that game, and then like you've just got these dope remixes in the B-sides and C-sides that just slap. You know, like they're just
Sure.
really cool.
Like really cool people, but like
By really cool people, and I get the best of both worlds on it. Like I was more frustrated mechanically with some of the things in the early parts of Celeste that I was then satiated with the B-sides and C-sides.
Yeah.
Like I really ended up, those are some of my favorite levels in that game. So like, you know, that is my 2 cents. That is like my perspective of saying like I totally get what you're feeling, Logan, because I feel it too in the opposite camp. So like it is a frustrating position to be in. I will say to both of you, like, something is not going to make it, and it's going to suck, and we're going to have to deal with it. It's not a hard feelings situation.
I just want to say that I'm not happy that Florence isn't going to make it, but I think it's.
Scott, how are you feeling?
I mean, I've never played Florence, and I've played maybe 45 minutes of Celeste. So I guess Celeste.
Would anyone feel more comfortable conceding a title to the other? Would that like be an easier way to resolve this? Of like if someone just says I'm okay with letting this go, I'm not happy about it.
I mean, Celeste is Quinn's game of the year, so I sincerely doubt he has any intention to drop it.
Yeah.
I've been on the record as saying that 2018 kind of sucked. Just in general, but also just in game wise too. Florence isn't my game of the year.
So it makes sense that a shitty game like Celeste would be on this.
That's what I'm trying to say. Really, I mean, it makes fucking sense.
Boom. Put that
like,
shit
no,
on the
but, like,
list.
But like, I mean, like, Florence is my game of the year, but I do think it is the game that utilizes music better than any game, with the exception of maybe Tetris Effect for me in the entire year, right? Like, so like I would say that, but ultimately, I think George has just given up the fight at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, George has been like, he's George is out just fucking killing his babies left and right. Like he already he had to save it.
Yoku's Island Express in the ground.
Yeah,
Yoku's
so
Island
it's like
Express
I don't know, like
fucking
I'm just been like I already said before in Slack, like I'm not dying on any hills for any game this year. So it's like I'm not gonna die on
For
the hill
Detroit Become Human, Irrational Passion's 2018 Game of the Year.
for Florence.
Vacation,
I'm doing it by
baby.
myself. But I will stand by the fact that I think that Florence utilizes music in a more effective way than any game, with maybe the exception of Tetris this year, and that I think it does that in a more poignant and beautiful way than a lot of games I've played in my time. That's all I'll say. The room has just, I think, George has given up the fight, and I'm not gonna die for this game if nobody else wants to stand there with me. So it's like it is what it is. I disagree with the decision, but it is what it is.
Okay.
So can we just give this a smash and walk away?
Like I said before, like I think Tetris utilizes music better than Smash. Like I think
I mean,
I like
how do
Tetris
we
music
feel?
if we want to go Tetris,
marries it better than Smash,
Fine.
right? Like
but Mike
how
made a
long do
very
we
good
wanna have
argument.
this conversation.
I mean, yeah, that's
real-
the thing. That's the thing. Like,
I mean, this
I don't-
is,
I-
again, like,
and, like,
it's
that's the thing,
another
like-
totally subjective thing, where it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, Mike is the other thing, where it's like Mike
it is
does not
subject-
think that way.
and then like I wouldn't even be reductive to say like Tetris is the same thing ever again, because Smash is also in ways the same thing again too.
Same thing over
but I
again.
think they are the best that they've ever been in both regards. I mean,
whoever wins, we lose. I believe is the the
Freddy
line.
vs. Jason, my favorite movie.
I mean, ultimately, like, yeah, I want Smash to be the winner, because I think while I do, even again, my overall indifference to Tetris Effect, like I do like the soundtrack. I've listened to them, like when we played it at Extra Life, again, that was like maybe like the third or fourth time I'd played Tetris like ever in my life. And
like Lumines.
Yeah, I liked Lumines a ton. Like that's like a lot of the emotions that people were having with Tetris Effect this year, I had with Lumines, and like more so, not just like the like realization of like how Mizuguchi gives all of these like amazing like underlying and like kind of thought-provoking messages with it, but it was also that like having that connection with a family member with a game. That's like I'm like, most of my family like don't give a fuck about video games in other regards. And like that was like one of those few games that I was able to share with my mom, and so like Lumines is like an extremely special game for me in that regard, that I was able to share it with back and forth with a family member. So, but again, that's kind of I went off on a tangent there, but Like,
And I agree with everything Mike said, but
yeah,
also
Luminous
like,
Remastered came out this year. Put it on the list.
yeah, like I agree with everything Mike said, but also the fact that like I said literally 2 minutes ago, nobody. George's not going to put the fight for Tetris Effect either. I feel like. He's
I mean,
like,
I would listen. I
just want to do Smash,
did,
and he's like, I just want to do Smash and just get
I
in
only
the category.
said
It's like,
Smash
it's
because I think
fine.
Mike did a great argument,
Like,
and
yeah,
I
Mike-
really
I
Mike
mean,
did
and that's the thing. I
No, like, I'm
didn't
not arguing,
even
I'm not arguing that. That's my
do
point. It's
like I didn't even
I
do
think
like the whole
it's
thing.
Literally, there are 5 of us who were like, I like Smash, and there's me who've been like, I
Okay.
haven't gotten Smash in 26 years, so just like it is what it is. Like I feel like we could just say Smash is the winner and be done with it. And it's the thing
I
is, like
mean,
that's fine.
yeah.
I'm not gonna object to that.
it is
It's
like,
like there are
yeah.
2 games on this top 3 list where it's like I'm totally fine having that be Rash Fashion's best music category winner, and I have no
also-
objections to either one of these. So it's like I don't really care if it's Smash or Tetris. And I think the room is all in Smash at this point in time, and I think now we're just like we don't want to have a 4-hour podcast, which is fine.
I want exactly
Make
yes.
Smash.
I think it's
Make-
Tetris because I want to reward like
Yeah.
original music from this year, and that's again nothing.
I agree,
There's nothing
but I
wrong
don't
with
think
like
and like there's 5 hours of new music, like whatever. Like let's just say it's Smash at this point, which is like let's just because I think I'm the person who's even
I think
put
it's
up a
Tetris,
modicum of
but-
a fight really, which is like, and I'm not dying on a hill for a game. I
Yeah.
haven't played either one of these games in any sort of depth, so like I don't. Let's just make it Smash.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
Sure. I'm glad Tetris made it. I
I'm-
think
I'm
it's the
comfortable
best
with
one
that.
in my heart.
Like, I think-
it's incredible.
I think what you said, Mike, does sum it up in a really
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
like it's ultimately like again, it. I wanted to give it to that because it is like it doesn't exist in any other medium, like something
As
ridiculous like this.
sure.
And like this is
Yeah.
like the most it's ever been in any capacity. Like I don't think I would have put up this much of a fight for other Smash games in the past because no other Smash game has really even done this. And I think that's worth like celebrating like this insane collaboration between like
Sure.
all of this like the entire like literally the entire like Japanese gaming community. Like I picked out the song specifically I picked because I went up and like researched all of the composers that are connected to them, and it's just like it's like staggering and like mind-blowing of like that Kirby remix that I have on there is done by the guy who made Phoenix Wright and like Grandia music. The F-Zero one is done. Yeah, the F-Zero remix was done by the guy who did Daytona music, Virtua Fighter, Shenmue,
All right.
Burning Rangers.
All right, here we go.
The
Yep,
next song that's on there is done by the guy who did all the Sonic the Hedgehog music.
Hell yeah.
The next, let me just, I'm gonna go because
Jun
I mostly because Jun Sonoe. I want to shout them out because it's worth it. Because like the Mega Man 4 medley was done by Tetsuya Shibata, who did Street Fighter Alpha 3, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Darkstalkers, Monster Hunter, the whole Monster Hunter franchise, Final Fantasy 15, and most of the Devil May Cry series. Like they were composers on that. What's the next one? The Lost Painting, Symphony of the Night remix. That's I think like personally like my favorite Castlevania remix in that whole game is done by Yuka Sugiyoko, and she did the entire Fire Emblem like music soundtracks for like every single game. She did Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, and Tetris Attack as well. The next one, Yuki Medley. I picked this one because it's like with also Smash with like this insane thing of like deep cut Smash does sometimes. Yuyuki is this weird old Japanese, it only came out in Japan, Game Boy game where it's based off Journey to the West, and you play as like this like the little monkey man that has like the staff, and it's like this weird, that's the only thing it's ever been, and they made like an entire medley dedicated to like the music in that. And that's done by Masafumi Takada, who did the Killer 7 soundtrack, the No More Heroes soundtrack, God Hand, EDF, Beatmania, like he did a bunch of stuff.
Damn.
Like the next one, the Tomodachi Life remix, again, like they somehow reformatted Tomodachi Life music into this fucking thing, and that's done by Junichi Nakatsuru, who did all the Soul Calibur series. He did Tekken 5 and Tekken 6. He did Time Crisis. Like those are just the songs I listed. Like there's a bunch of other remixes. There's one that was done by Matoi Sakuraba. He did a lot of them actually. I don't have specific songs for that, but he did all the Tales games. Like he's a composer for all the Tales games. Akihiro Honda, one of the composers on Metal Gear, has also done music. There's a guy who did a Splatoon remix, a new Splatoon song. He would like literally his only other thing he's ever done is the Metal Wolf Chaos soundtrack. Like that's all he's done. And they just were like, hey, you want to do a Splatoon remix? All right, like
this is like every fucking niche thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. I went over. I think I'm went over. It's fine.
Like
Yeah.
it's
I
an
think
insane
Smash
thing. And like that's
Shout out Daytona USA. one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, Daytona US.
As one wise man, Jeff Gerstmann, has said, "I wish the game was better."
All right. Okay.
Mm,
All right,
I
best
agree.
prize.
Oh,
No, it's done. We're going best prize now. We're not doing no other
Yeah.
bit, Quinn. That's best
Yeah, we're
prize.
done.
I mean,
Let's-
hey, let's take a break, but sure.
Yeah, that's
Do
fine.
we-
I'm fine with-
do you
I'm fine with-
wanna-
Yeah,
I
I
have to
want to.
throw this off of my burrito.
I want.
Do you want
I
to
got
take
to
a quick? Let's take a breather.
It's
Yeah, take a
been,
quick pee
staying
break.
like 2 hours.
That wasn't too
Um,
bad.
No,
Hour 45.
Obviously worse on some of us than all of us,
Sure.
but I like again to super reiterate because I'm sure somebody out there listening, whether it
Be
be
bummed.
Blessing Adeoye Jr.
He's fucking celebrating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Smash
Smash
was
is game of the year.
Smash is
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Hey,
but-
and I'll,
or
and I'll say
whoever.
and I'll say this: spoilers. Like Smash isn't my game of the year.
Damn, dude.
Is or isn't?
Spoilers. I said isn't.
Isn't.
I have my list.
Smash
it's-
isn't
It's
mine.
higher on my list than I thought it would
It's
be. But,
high on my list for sure, but it's not my
What-
numero uno.
I want to say like somebody out there maybe like their favorite soundtrack was like
Maybe
The
a-
Messenger
yeah.
or Florence or whatever.
Exactly.
Like and
Onrush.
some of those Onrush, which has awesome
Donkey Kong
music.
Country Tropical Freeze. The
Yeah, or
Nintendo
the
Switch.
Funky Mode, the Funky Kong
Yeah,
remix. to all
Funky brought the
songs.
funk.
Mhm.
Like again, it's a very subjective thing, and it is just us trying to meet in the middle here. And it sucks sometimes. But, like, it's okay. Like it's fine.
And I think that's like another thing that created and that aspect of like just because we ultimately cut them doesn't mean like they're not
No.
bad or they're not or we didn't like them in other capacities. It's just like maybe we like these other things more, or maybe these things just resonated with us more because like
Sure.
and we
Play Octopath.
You
Yeah, that's what else I walked out of.
maybe Octopath.
I mean, play all the games. Play Florence.
Yeah,
play
yeah.
Federation Peace, even
Play
Federation Peace.
Florence.
Play.
Top 2 beta.
I'll say
Congratulations.
this: like Florence took me like 25 minutes. It didn't even take
Yeah.
me 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
The game is again not long. It is.
Yeah,
so
and
good.
I'm happy that I played it. I'm like I said
Same.
in our Slack before. I'm like
Shout
I'm
out
really-
to Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It has the original Spyro soundtrack. That's
and
pretty
like a
good.
cool remix soundtrack that I actually
That's
really
all
like.
right.
Whatever, George. No, but like, yeah, like you do not need us to validate you. Your opinion is valid, and we love you. Thank you for listening.
And if you do need us to validate you, rethink
sorry.
your
Like Nintendo
We
things,
accept
yeah.
PayPal
yeah,
and
maybe
Venmo.
re-accept your
Uh-huh.
life situation maybe a little bit or something.
let's take 5,
Yep.
and I have to pee.
Same.
George, what's that drink?
This is milk.
But
God bless you.
This is he needs some milk. We found it. Oh my fucking
needs
god!
some
Give me
milk.
yours. Give me yours
Only
wild.
George fucking
beautiful.
Cruz
Have
walking
a
through
wine
with a fucking
glass.
like
Can we
a
not-
wine goblet, swirl it around
can we
and say,
not take that?
Milk.
Can we,
Milk.
can we need that?
Yeah,
can we not
somebody
take that
clip
part
that.
out? Yeah, can we not take that part out of that?
Yeah,
holy
this is all in.
shit.
George, I appreciate man.
Everything about you, I appreciate. in this
Best
one.
surprise.
George might actually be the best person.
Best
in the
surprise?
entire
Best
world.
best
Yeah.
surprise goes to George Cruz bringing some milk into the
Milk in a wine
into the
glass.
Game of the Year
Alright,
podcast.
God.
Let's go.
All right.
I made me put my relationship on the line, so let's do this.
Hell yeah, dude. Best surprise. Now, what I wrote here, I got confirmation from George Cruz that this is a-okay. What I wrote as a description for best surprise was most delightful or pleasing surprise of a game, whether it be we went in with low expectations and it exceeded them, or we had no expectations and it blew us away.
So can I say already, based with that description, there are games that shouldn't be on this list?
Yes, absolutely. We'll,
Yeah.
we'll-
Okay.
we
Yeah.
got some
Okay.
quick cuts.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
So we,
I was
got,
gonna
we
make
had some bits on
Yeah,
here
because
as
some
well.
of these were put on there before
Mhm.
the descriptor was disclaimer and descriptor was made. So
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
And again, George, this was one of the categories you had pitched, I believe. So I wanted to make sure it was clear. It was clear with you what I'd written. Excuse me. Big thing I want to reiterate here is expectation is very much a part of this.
Oh,
It is,
yeah.
like, almost all of it. I don't want to say it
Mhm.
is all of it. There's certainly like, there's certainly a part of it that does not apply, but or there's more factors to it. But I think expectation is a huge part of this because it's a huge part of surprise. At the top here it says Logan moving to Texas. Huh?
Does it really?
No.
I was like, damn. I was like, there's some sort of like fucking invisible ink one. Like, here's the thing.
That's gonna be. That's gonna be.
You considered it a surprise.
It's that thing of like, yeah, I guess you could have best surprise. Logan moved to Texas. I really 4 months later, genuinely am so surprised. People didn't like it as much as I did. That surprise. They did not think this was as good of a idea as I did. Right? Like, Trevor Starkey still fucking salty about the fact that I didn't like consult him beforehand. It's like, yo, I thought it'd be like great. Like it'd be like a fucking birthday cake thing. Like, hey, I got a cake for you. Instead of be like, hey.
When Logan and I talked about it, he's like, I think of it like a happy surprise.
Yeah. And then Alex is like, yeah, but like some people might not take that route and be like, really? Like I'm just so like,
what?
What? Like who wouldn't like this prize? Like Plank enjoyed it. You know, shout out to Plank. He got it. He was here for the surprise cake.
I also just disclaimer there. Viewers are going to be extremely confused when you said that because the list is on the screen while you said that. So it's just like at the top of the list.
They're going to share my
just like, they're just going to be like, wait, what? That doesn't say that.
Into the Breach, Grease, Return of the Obra Dinn, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Onrush, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Super Mario Party, Celeste, Mega Man 11, No Man's Sky Next Update, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Florence, God of War, The Messenger, Detroit Become Human, and Rage in Peace. Is there anything missing from this list?
I don't think Forza Horizon 4 is surprising because they've all been good, but I was surprised with how good it was.
I think there's an argument to be made potentially for Tetris Effect, but ultimately, I think.
I think like Tetris Effect has so much baggage of like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Ultimately,
joint, you know, like I think
expectations are pretty high.
I would say Yakuza 6 was a surprise for me, but it was my first Yakuza game.
I wish I could have put. If it had been 2017, I could put Yakuza Kiwami 1. It would have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have fucking died on that hill.
Yeah,
fortunately, we got Yakuza Kiwami 2, and I'm fucking trying to run away from that hill as fast as I possibly can. I really want to get away from that hill so badly.
I'm excited that you liked it so much, Alex, because I played Yakuza 6 and I've never played a Yakuza game, and that's probably my first game.
Yeah,
Did you play Yakuza 0 or 1 first?
I haven't played any. I've owned Kiwami, but I never played it.
Play Kiwami. Kiwami's so good. It's so good. Play Kiwami, Alex. It's such a fucking
I really want to
game.
play it. Like I have you on one shoulder telling me to play Kiwami and Nabishin on the other telling me to play 0, and it's like I love you both though. I would say Moonlighter was also a big surprise for me. Let me. I feel like some of my.
I'm gonna write it in and delete it.
Yeah, it's not gonna make it, but let me look at my
viewers. It's there. All right.
So can we start doing things real quick? Can we have a purge?
Yeah.
Let's give it a smash. I think.
Yeah.
That was a one that again it came on before the disclaimer.
Definition alone.
It was on the disclaimer, but prior.
It was cool that it was announced and came out in the same year.
That's why I put it on originally, because
cool.
it was the surprise of like they announced a Smash game and it came out in the same year, and like they brought everything back. Like I thought that was surprising, but yeah, it's not. It's
I'm
ultimately.
also gonna say, I think personally, somebody who loves the series and is happy with it. I think Super Mario Party also should not necessarily stay around for that long.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
think so either. I think
I love Super Mario. I love Mario Party.
They finally made a good Mario Party.
Yeah, they made a
good
good
but like,
Mario
is it
Party.
like surprising that it's good? Like, I mean, like the last bad Mario Party game was like on the N64 probably.
So, yeah, I'd say some would argue that there were other good Mario Party games. It's just that they finally brought it back to being
like I don't think this is the best Mario Party game. So it's like
It's
I don't know how much
better than the
surprising
most
that it's good.
ones on Wii U.
Yeah.
I would say like,
But
it's
I don't know if
surprising
that
how-
has staying power.
Yeah.
it's surprising how polished it is, because Mario Party doesn't always get the polished treatment. But like Nabishin was pointing out to me, like there's a mini game where you like whack-a-mole Monty Moles, and if you play that mini game as Monty Mole, he's like making a
it's really good.
Yeah, there's
just like
good.
cool.
Yeah,
That's a
there's,
really
there's
cool
there's a few things like that, because there's another one where if you're playing as Bowser, he's one of the playable characters now in there. And instead of there being Bowser spaces in the game, which I think is fucking lame personally, there should be Bowser spaces. Now there's like bad luck spaces, And so basically, instead of Bowser giving out the badge, like it's Kamek. But if Bowser, so if Bowser lands one of those spaces, and then like Kamek has to do a thing, it's like a different dialogue where it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, boss, I gotta do this. It's and he gets like all like freaked out.
It very much
it's very
feels
cute.
like Nintendo actually owning a Mario Party instead of them feeling like they were handed something because Hudson is dead and it just makes money. This very much felt like, all right, let's actually sit down and think about like what the fuck is Mario Party.
Yeah,
I think
It's
totally.
not great, but it's
I think it's.
we can.
I would also say I think it is incredibly surprising how like phenomenal it is, how like universally acclaimed it is and everything else. But based off of this definition alone, I'd also say God of War.
Yeah.
And again, I think God of War is incredibly surprising how good. As somebody who's like played that series from like the get go, like it is
Y'all
surprising
remember how much fucking heat I gave this game before it came out?
like how good this game is. I think is surprising
Yeah.
to like the level, like
Sure.
the quality and craftsmanship behind it. But like
Yeah.
based off this definition, it is not that.
Yeah.
I think.
I'd
like,
also maybe even say something similar to like a lesser degree, but like for Mega Man 11, where it's like the last actual Mega Man game is Mega Man 9 and 10. Those
I
are both
don't know, man.
great games. I know that this is. I think
This is maybe just a George thing.
I think this one is maybe the one for me where it's like I think people would think of it because of Mighty Number 9, but that's not the same sort of
the
series. And thing the last Mega Man game was fucking great in Mega Man 10. That's actual main Mega Man game was
Yeah, I
great.
guess a good point. I guess for me, the main reason I put it on here, is because when I saw Mega Man 11, I did not give a single fucking shit when they announced that.
That's at
Not
2.5 dB and ugly still.
one,
Still stand by that.
not
Don't
one.
love the look of it.
But I played it.
Mhm.
I played only first level. I played it in between classes.
It's
so
really good.
I want to play it.
Mhm.
I think it's the best. It's the most fun I've had with the Mega Man games since Mega Man Powered Up for the PSP. And that's a very
Wow, what a deep cut that I
But
love.
I think Mega Man Powered Up for the PSP is better than Mega Man 10 in my opinion. So I think it's just,
I am so bummed they never continued the Power
You're
Up
just
or Mega
throwing
Man
out
series.
such like wild, weird takes that like I'm so here
Man.
for. Like,
But
I
it
would-
feels like it feels like a natural. Like, what's the next thing for Mega Man? We don't want to make a Mega Man Legends at the wheel. We just want to make a new Mega Man game, but not push too many boundaries. I think it's so goddamn good.
Don't take away from what made Mega Man.
that
Mega
first
Man
level,
kind of.
they gave out that level for free too.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Old
good.
people like some Mullen Cariardi would say they added maybe too many new things that don't need to be on there. But I think what they add.
But he
is
still
like-
loved it, I think too. I would assume.
Yeah.
Mullen did.
Yeah,
Mullins game of the year probably would someone say.
But ultimately, I think it's a really good point. If you're okay with it, I think that's also one that we can kind of.
So yeah, but it can go. That was I just want to shout
But that's
out.
a really good point you brought up, George. It's a really good point.
I want to. Man, I lost my. Y'all just watched the star back.
I feel like the Messengers one for me, where it's like if
Yeah.
none of us had been to PAX, I think it'd be an incredibly
Yeah.
big surprise. The fact that we all played it beforehand makes it kind of complicated. I feel
Here's
like
the thing, though.
because we all
like,
knew
that is-
it was gonna be great at that point when the time it came out.
I think like that is when the surprise happened. It doesn't necessarily translate to when we played it in full.
Yeah.
I think that game is still incredibly surprising.
I agree, but we literally got spoiled on the big plot.
Yeah,
twist
we got
once it came
spoiled
out.
on it, but that didn't take away from the surprise because when I was sitting there playing it, and
I
getting
agree,
explanation
but
of what the game
I think
was.
it complicates. That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like
complicates
the six
it,
of
but
us are more complicated than if it had been a regular person. Yes.
Right.
I don't
But
think it disqualifies.
If you went in just totally blind to that game is such a fucking like
that game would have
surprise
my
reveals
whole
and
body.
That would have been
everything,
like
it would have
buck
been such a
wild.
huge thing. So like that's where it's like it's weird to talk about that because we all knew beforehand. But like if you just went in that blind, like it'd be such great.
Can you imagine if Alex had no idea about this game and he just played it from start to beginning and then came back to us?
I get chills. Like I've had that fantasy. Like I've like, if like August rolls around and I play that game, boy, I'd be sweating.
I will say the thing with the messenger is that initial reaction, sitting in the press room and having Alex O'Neill like come back,
like preaching,
you need to play the fucking messenger.
like y'all.
Like,
Logan Moore too, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
Michael Ruiz.
it was this universal thing. Like
Yeah, again, like and
I
that's
was-
what's so funny. Like it was at PAX East and West. Like it was just like people
Yeah.
would come back and just like in huddled whispers start talking about the messenger and like what this game was and like what it was doing. It's like it was so cool to see at both conferences, like what people kind of takeaways from that were.
My most surprising thing about Rage in Peace is how much times it's been nominated in these conversations.
Oh,
Got him, dunked him.
ouch.
No, I think Rage in Peace is definitely
Rage in Peace to me is a game that fits this definition surprisingly. Where it's like I went in Rage in Peace, but like I literally got the PR person emailed me a code of like, hey, like here's the game if you want to like check it out, kind of thing. Here's the code, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, and honestly, usually half the time I'm like, all right, cool, I see the code. I'm not gonna do anything with that. This time I was like, you know what? All these like kind of redeem it and like check it out and see what it's about. And like I started playing this game, and it's like, you know what? This is fucking dope.
Yep.
And it sucks. It's also really hard and brutal, but it's like it's a lot of fun. And like playing that right before, and then like during the flight to Extra Life, I was like, this game's really, really good. And I became addicted to it there. And like I was playing it on the flight to Extra Life. I didn't play anything at Extra Life because you know we were moderately busy. But that game is really, really neat. And like I had no expectations, and it blew me away.
That PR person somewhere's like fucking
like they totally got me. Where it's like. Again, like Rage in Peace is on this list, on these various category lists. I mean, somewhat a lot, but I think this might be also be like the last one. I think this might be the last one it's on too, though. To be fair, but it is that thing of like because it is such a surprising.
It's on Game of the Year.
It's on Game of the Year. Yeah.
Well, then whatever, but like it won't win. But it's also
I was gonna say.
It's also a thing of like it won't win any category it's in. Like its best chance is realistically probably best surprise right here, and it won't win this. And so it's like. Because I'm the person to this game, but it's me being like, this game's really cool and neat, and like you all should at least like look into it. That's why I kept like telling Jared, like I think it's a Jared-esque game, and I think it's an Alex and Neil-esque game in a lot of ways too, where it's like, I think the game is neat, and like the game is definitely flawed. It's got issues, but like it does really cool, neat, fun things, and like I had no expectations, or my expectations were like, this might just be like a whatever, like mediocre, like fine video game. And it's better than that. Its music is great. Its story beats are really good at times. It's a really fun platformer that will make you want to punch a fucking hole through the wall. But it's just like it's so good and like it's a game. I don't know, like it. I had no expectations or had very little, and it just totally surpassed those. And like that to me is like the definition of a best surprise thing, which is like it totally shocked me how much I like fell for this game, while also acknowledging its problems.
I don't think. No, go ahead, Mike.
Because I was gonna say, as of right now, I think for Rage and Peace and the Messenger can stay on for now. Because I think there are some other games on here that I personally think can pretty much be immediately deleted, and that's because unlike. I don't even know why Detroit Become Human and Spyro Reignited Trilogy are on this list.
Totally seriously?
Detroit might win this.
No, it's no way.
Dead serious. Detroit might be my hype for this.
No way.
I would not.
Detroit is not like you tell me, David. It's a new David Cage game, and I have somewhat expectations of like I know what kind of game I'm gonna be playing in some regard.
Sure.
I know and I know like he's gonna make some weird ass fucking overly dramatic.
Come up on screen like, hello, I'm David.
Yeah,
Cage.
like I know some of the stuff like going into this game. Like there was also like a demo. There was also like a weird like pre. Like demo thing showed years ago that like somewhat we knew like the car thing where like we kind of knew this like something like this was coming. Like Detroit was not surprising at all to me.
Humans, and this is such a leap from that.
I did not expect it to be my top 5, probably. Like I did not.
Yeah, this game will it's gonna be at least close to my top 5 as well. Probably in my top 5. Like this game, like again, this game is very flawed and like nobody wants this game to not be on any list more than George, and like to a degree more than me.
I wish I didn't like it.
But like this game, that's the takeaway from the roundtable discussion we had about this. This game is good. Like it's not bad. This game is good, and it's.
I'll say this.
Like the difference is you're saying a lot that it's good. That doesn't necessarily mean it's surprising.
To me, it is a thing of like low expectations.
Yeah,
and it exceeded them. Like we definitely, I think all even Alex too, like had low expectations, and it definitely surpassed them. I would think, right? Like even with the stuff we didn't like about that, it definitely surpassed and blew away my expectations for what this game could be, and like the notes it could hit. And like Connor's storyline is really, really great. Actually, like it is legitimately. Great. Well, me and Alex think it's great. Like we like it. Like this game definitely is surprising how good it is and how well it actually handled a lot of things.
And I hate it,
especially in terms of like the gameplay, like butterfly, like effect things is like incredible.
Yeah.
Like that aspect of the game is like literally the best indie video game I've ever seen do. Like where the butterfly effects and like how everything like 3 pages of charts like look for different routes you could have gone is like insane.
Alex,
Yeah.
you had something to say?
I'll say this, right? There is a thing about like the big thing about Detroit that we talked about in our roundtable conversation is like this is the least David Cage game
It is.
because it feels like
Feels like other people.
There were
it
other
feels like
people
other
involved.
people had a voice in
Yes.
this game in a way that none of his games have before, and that is like a benefit of the format of like these 3 storylines. And
And
one
I
of
think
them-
we also all agree that the story that he probably had the most direct control in is the weakest one, which
Yes.
is Marcus's.
Yeah, and I think like there's one that is very obviously the most David Cage ass
Yeah.
shit you could hope
Yeah.
for, but the other 2 like have a perspective in them that I think is genuinely surprising. All that being said, that game I expected it to be pretty good, and it was better than I could have hoped. But like I did not have low expectations for that game. I thought it was going to be great, and I thought I was
Yeah.
going to love it, and I ended up loving it. That is like I like those kinds of games, and I went into it with a very positive attitude. And I
Yeah.
was very happy with it. So like it does not register on the surprise scale for me at all. But I also
Okay.
think like there are some real like out of left fielders here that like an Onrush, for example, that I think have like I would rather highlight something like that than a Detroit
Okay.
personally. But you know, I get it. Like I didn't even like I thought that one was going to get cut right away. I think Spyro for sure shouldn't be on this list because I thought it was great. and it-
Oh, I don't. Well, yeah, maybe.
That's the one
I
where it's
think-
like to me, and also be like in the wake of like Crash, where it's like where
Yeah,
you see,
exactly.
like a
Activision
well-made version of
did
that kind of
this.
thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
you
here we go,
hear
and
them
they crushed
remaking
it.
those Spyro games, and you go, okay, like you kind of know, you kind of know what you're getting.
I will say that Toys for Bob clearly, like, I guess it's not surprising because Vicarious Visions also clearly cared for the material. I
Yeah.
had no expectation for Toys for Bob to have this much. Like, I was talking with Don and Joe. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys cared this much about Spyro, and you've been doing this fucking bullshit for years? Are you fucking kidding me? You guys put the original soundtrack. You guys got voice actors that sound almost identical to the original.
Mhm.
You guys got Tom Kenny back.
Yeah, and you guys been doing fucking Skylanders bullshit for all this time? Are you kidding me? I feel bad for them at one point, man.
Well, I don't think Spyro would have happened had the reception for Crash not been as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I was just surprised.
Had Crash not happened and shown that people really care or like want this and would be totally down for a Spyro remake, we wouldn't have gotten this.
I think it's surprising that they added the entire soundtrack for the original game, and that somebody in that room realized this. If we don't get this soundtrack in, we might as well just not make this. Because for me, like, I was very much like, if you don't have that original Stephen Copeland soundtrack, I don't fucking care. But I agree. They obviously were gonna make it, so that's fine.
Mhm.
But I know I'm probably gonna get some pushback for this. I was surprised by some parts of it, but I didn't think Celeste was a surprise. I was like,
I actually gonna say the same thing.
I really really loved Towerfall, and like the mechanics of that are so tight and so great.
Mhm.
Right.
And like all of that carried right through Celeste in the way that I expected. Obviously, I think the material of it is
Right.
surprising, and it like I didn't expect it to affect me as much as it did, but like I do not like I
Its
wouldn't
effect on the
consider that-
industry is surprising as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
For sure.
But
I
like
kind of think that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, if we're talking about like the 3 biggest surprises of the year, like I don't think it hangs.
No, and I would agree with that. And the thing is, like when the first more buzz started coming out about this game and like how big it was like, okay, so I had high expectations, and I started listening to the soundtrack. And like, yo, my expectations have gotten higher and higher because I'm the Celeste guy at this
I too am the Celeste guy though.
True. But it wasn't a surprise for me.
Yeah,
So I'm good with it being cut because I have other horses in this race.
yeah. I think there are like way more shocking moments.
Mhm.
For me, Pokemon surprised the fuck out of me because I
Okay.
did not expect to like fall deeply in love with it.
Yeah,
in
that's
some
pretty
ways, I'm
surprising.
with you too. Yes.
That is
Yeah.
like a top 5 video game for me that I did not expect.
Yeah.
I thought that game was gonna be poo-poo trash.
Yep.
Yeah, I
me
thought it
too.
was gonna be
Exactly.
bad. I
As-
thought go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as somebody who like has like a literal lifelong personal attachment to Pokemon, like the disappointment I had and like so many, not just disappointment's like a harsh word, but I guess like immediate, just like going from like seeing that first like reveal trailer when they first showed it, and like going from like literally like goosebumps and almost like tearing up to like finally see this world that I've always dreamt of, like in my like young childhood brain, finally seeing be like fully realized, like fully HD. You're like seeing the Pokemon trainer run around the world and seeing all the Pokemon themselves running around the world with you, and it's just like, holy shit! Like I never thought this would exist. But then it immediately cuts to like some person with a Joy-Con in their hand going, oh, and then it's just like, and it just like shrivels my
it's all dead.
Yeah, my quote unquote hardcore gamer heart or whatever. But then immediately like getting the game and like sitting down with it, and like I did have I did have some frustrations with the motion controls in that game. Like they aren't perfect by any means, but like just like everything else about that game is like it is exactly what I've always wanted a Pokemon game to be.
But I was glad to see so many people so happy that they got something that they're just completely surprised by.
Yeah, like that. I mean, I've said multiple times, like it like almost single-handedly revitalized my love for that franchise. But also like, I did not expect it to be like, I hope all Pokemon games are like this from now on. Like maybe minus the motion controls.
Walking back from the cliff.
Yeah.
But, like,
I don't think you're gonna get that, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the Joy-Con stuff, but like seeing the Pokemon on the field, not fighting random Pokemon, like all that stuff, I think, is way better for that franchise than the alternative.
It takes it in like an exciting direction.
A modern direction.
And like someone threw out the idea of a Pokemon Let's Go Silver and Let's Go Gold, and I got like so excited.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like
my heart skips a beat whenever you bring up. I mean, but also you could literally say that about any kind of remake of Gold and Silver, because that's like such an integral personal
favorite games for me.
Personal integral like so important.
Favorite gen.
Pokemon Let's Go Chikorita.
And Totodile. If it's as long as Totodile, as long as Totodile's one of them, I don't give a fuck.
Let's go Ho-Oh and let's go Lugia. You start with a legendary.
Fuck that.
We're keeping him on the list.
Yeah.
I'm
kind of, in terms of, I kind of feel this similar to Into the Breach, as you guys mentioned, Celeste.
Yeah.
Just because
FTL is a good game.
That's exactly how I feel about it too.
Yeah.
I know, Quinn, you are like, that game took you by surprise.
Yeah, because I didn't play FTL.
Yeah, so you had skipped FTL, but like, as soon as I heard
from the guys who made FTL,
from the guys that made FTL, I was like, that game's probably dope. And everything I heard about it from then on, like, it is like really cool how it is executed on as like a short game tactics game, but like it's like this is their exact kind of game, and they made a very good one of those. But like. My expectation was through the roof, and it met it totally.
Expectations,
And it's so funny is because like I went in like this game looks cool. They came to Switch, and I'm like, I'm in. Then like I was playing it last night, and I was just like blowing through it. I'm like, you know what? This game is so fucking polished and so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably one of my favorite games of all time.
Jesus.
Yeah, like I think like Into the Breach certainly deserves it too. Like it is a very, very good game. But yeah, like I don't know. I don't think it has the surprise punch.
Yeah, and I feel that from the room is because I take it Scott and Mike and Alex and probably George have all played FTL.
I haven't, but I knew from the start.
I haven't played either of them.
But I knew as soon as someone said it's
and
maybe Game of the Year contender.
And going off of that, I would say personally like a similar thing of Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yeah.
Like I personally really like it. Like it was a surprise to me of like when I first saw that, I literally like the first time I saw it was like Giant Bomb did a quick look of it, And
2014.
yeah, and that game's been like I didn't even realize that game had been in development for years. I didn't know Lucas Pope was even attached to it when I first saw it and started even playing it. But then when I looked up and like saw all these things, it was like okay,
Papers, Please, huh?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Paper Please is such a good video game.
Yeah,
As an
yeah,
aside.
this is
One-
the guy who made Papers,
just-
Please. This is his
yeah.
like new game.
I
that
did
he's been
not know
working-
until this moment.
Yep.
Mhm.
I discovered it through one Nick Robinson play.
Yeah,
Papers, Please.
No.
Oberdin,
No,
Giant
no,
Bomb
no,
did a
no,
quick
no,
look
no,
of it,
For...
and it was like one of those things where you see a screenshot and you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that's how I haven't been able to forget it. So like,
and then-
I was actually thinking about it like before I became like, oh, it's out. I was like, man, that fucking game looked cool. Whatever
Yeah.
happened to that game?
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Okay.
and especially because like this is not the category for it. There's one basically another category in a later day that this game is
Yeah.
100% certified for, in my
And
personal
that
opinion.
being
But yeah, like it can go.
With that being said, I feel the same way about Onrush in terms of like I think there's another category. Right? Onrush is not surprising to me. Like I didn't know I was going to like it so much,
Mhm.
but it's the
Game's
team
really
that
good.
made Motorstorm and
Oh.
like the story of Onrush is like it's like I knew who it was, and so I was like, oh, they're going back to make something like Motorstorm. I know they make good looking video games. It was surprising to me that I even played it.
Mhm.
But there is another category where it will do very well, and I will
Now,
fight.
can I just ask this question?
Yeah.
What in God's name is Astrobot Rescue Mission? I legitimately have not even heard
Oh
of
This
this.
my
is
God.
the winner of this category.
Yes,
It's so
this is
good.
this is
I-
Astrobot. Or Scott, you can go ahead because you've actually I think
Do you
completed it.
remember those people smoking weed and jerking off on the playroom when you buy your PS4?
I'm right here,
Make it
guys.
a video game. And it's game of the
Scott,
year.
go.
for so long, like prior to it, like prior to me picking it up, I picked it up about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago when it was on sale. It was like, oh, it's like the Super Mario 64 of VR. It was this, and I had the demo disc and I played the little Astrobot game that came with it. It's like, oh, this is cute. But when I was seeing all those, it's just like I don't believe it. And then playing it, I was just blown away by how much just genuine fun it was. It was just
Absolutely.
A Nintendo level of childlike wonder and fun, some would say.
it was the charm of the little characters, the little dances they do, and it controls extremely well. I was not anticipating liking it as much as I did and really being sucked in. And
Mhm.
then I had my girlfriend try it. It was the first time she had tried VR, and she like got sucked into it too and played for like 2 hours. It was I was just chilling with her and seeing her like look around and bend around the walls and be like, oh, that looks cool, and try and reach out and grab things. It's just so much charm, and I was blown away by Astrobot.
Yeah.
Like
To-
that
but
is a
my-
game to get for your PSVR.
My sentiments are similar to Scott. Like I literally got my PSVR last weekend,
Mhm.
and I got the bundle that came with Astrobot and Moss, and like I don't think there was any other game that this year that I just like I literally that's I would say like in some ways, even though the first time I put a VR headset on, period, was at Extra Life when we did Tetris Effect. But I would say like this, I would say that was like, you know, like 10 minutes or whatever, not even that at most. But like I now have a VR headset. I sat down and played and did Astrobot, and I don't think there's literally any other game this year that I was like almost immediately like I was dropped into the first level and I just started running around and I was immediately just like, this is fun, this is just cool, and like I was just like so like taken aback by like it, like having that immediate reaction to it, like literally within the first level, and then it keeps that like it doesn't, you don't like like I've like granted Scott's played more than I have, like I've only done the first two worlds of it at this point. But like even in those first two worlds, I have not felt it. Like I like us talking about it, it's like I want to keep playing. I want to play more of this game. I want to see all of it through. Like I got a lot of editing to do tomorrow, but like I want to do, like I want to play that game. Like it's just like it's like I feel like I've heard that sentiment a lot too, of like it's the Mario 64 of VR and platforming, and I feel like in some ways that's kind of like a reductive statement for it, because it's not just like taking like the traditional it's not taking just like those traditional kind of platforming things that Mario 64 kind of made. It's taking a lot more like modern like platforming things. Like the thing that blew my mind was the last time I played in that second world. There's like an equivalent of like a minecart stage like you have in a lot of platforming games, and like that stage was like, holy shit, this is cool. And just like, because it's not just like you know, you're looking at a flat like, you know, minecart going side to side. It's like there'll be a segment like that, but then like the minecart will be like on the ceiling, and you're still doing all like the things you would do in like a normal platformer where you gotta like jump from track to track, or like jump over a certain thing, or be prepared for this, but you're like doing it while the minecart's upside down, like right in front of your face, or you're doing it like, or it's like using like the different sides of like and camera angles you can use in VR, and it's also using the different depth. Like the minecart will be like right up in front of you, and sometimes it'll be way ahead of you. Like all within like the level is only like it probably takes like 5 minutes or even that to do, and it just does all this stuff like with VR and with like modern platforming like mechanics, and it's just like, holy crap.
Yeah, like even the second level, like where it's like the city and you had to like look up and see him walking along the girders and just kind of walking along. I thought it was just so cool and done so well, and it was.
And like I don't know like how people feel about this game. And another game it very much reminds me of is the original Ape Escape. And that like one of the things that you're mainly doing as you go through these levels is you're like saving these other robots in the place, and like they hide them in really interesting and cool ways where like you know, you'll be like walking across a platform and it'll look like it's like a big pit if you go over this one way, but if you actually like peek over with your VR headset, you can see like you can look all the way. Yeah, you can look all the way down. There's like a platform that looks like hundreds of feet away in VR, and there's a little robot just like chilling down there. And there's like robots hidden around corners, and like you have to like Scott said, you have
sleeping,
to like,
taking naps.
Yeah, you have to like look up and around, and like and they'll like when you collect one, he'll like fly out and like be all jolly in your face, and then like there's like a virtual PS4 controller like you can see moving it around and stuff, and they'll like jump in the controller and like dance around. It's like it's very pleasant, it's very like happy, and like he's
so charming.
It's like I'm so surprised
we're talking about a game from the fucking robots from Playroom.
Yes,
they're here.
that too.
I just want to say that very few things make me as happy as like an excited, like happy Mike who just like gushing about something, who's just like totally sold.
It's also
that's the crazy thing of like I've only played 2 worlds of that game, and I feel like strongly about it.
That's definitely gonna
Ape Escape
into the
is a specific cut for me. You're speaking my language.
Yeah, it has a.
You get little gadgets that attach to your controller that will like shoot grappling hooks that you have to like shoot out, so your little dude can walk on. Or
super. The grappling hook in particular is super cool.
Yeah. Just cool little things that help you interact with the world, and it's just from the get go, it's fun. Yes. It's just genuine, simple, charming fun, and
it's also weird that I still can't believe that the Astrobot fucking Team Asobi fucking Studio of Japan game is the thing that's selling PSVR headsets. Like, it's fucking bananas.
It's come full circle.
Put No Man's Sky on the list. So who do I have to argue with about why we're taking it off?
Oh god, here's Logan's. Like, some would argue that
dude,
No
I'm
Man's
with you,
Sky
Logan.
was always
No Man's. I mean, like No Man's Sky was. I don't know, like. I'm tired of having this conversation because I've had this conversation for like years now, but it's like No Man's Sky was never bad, more to the point. But B, like, once it came out, I was always confident they would be able to fix the things in it. Like, I was never like, well, now it's gonna be a disaster. It's like they said they're gonna fix things and it work. Like, I felt like they were gonna at least like make the game better, if not like to the degree they have been. But like, I was always confident they would like at least improve the game and keep working on it over the time that it was rolled out. Like, I'm not shocked that the game is better and that they've fulfilled more of their like promises or whatever, quote unquote. But like. I don't know, like, I'm not shocked by that. Like, I think, and I'm also happy for No Man's Sky, obviously, but it's like, I'm not shocked or surprised, and like, my expectations weren't lower, not existent at all at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was gonna say too. Like, I totally expected them to keep supporting that game. They had like in the same year that it released, still been supporting that game, and like,
and I also feel like a lot of the surprise, if you want to call it that, happened. I feel like more last year.
That is true. That is
except
true.
Like which added the bases and whatnot. Like I think it is good.
Yes, awesome. Definitely
and
awesome.
I think it's a feel good moment, but I don't know if
Yes.
it's surprising.
Like if we'd had like a best feel good moment, I could totally be here for No Man's Sky, but like a best surprise.
Like,
but it's like
I'll say like this conversation is certainly going in a different direction than I thought it would, but like, you know, when I hear stuff about like how taken aback that Logan and George were about Detroit, or like how I felt about Pokemon, like I think those are certainly more
yes.
specific to us, and not like a hey, this is a cool thing to have in the industry type thing, and also like more surprise, like more feel good surprises for us, you know, like
And it also
same
say
with
that,
Astrobot.
again, like I said, I think when No Man's Sky was in like another category from day one, have any of us really played any of the new stuff like super in depth either, where like they can have like a really hardcore like feelings on it? Because like Quinn just raised his hand, but it's like I also know Quinn. I don't think you've played like 50 hours or 40 hours of this game. So it's like it's like is anybody really gonna like die on
played
like
like
anybody
20
really like
hours
that
though, right?
passionate about this enough to where it's like I don't feel like any of us are really that passionate about No Man's Sky in general. Really kind of.
Where were you like on the surprise level of it, Quinn?
I played No Man's Sky when it launched.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. But the thing is, jumping into next, like, I don't think next was like this thing of like adding a story, and then it was like honestly that game is completely different.
I don't agree to that. I don't agree to that. Like I fundamentally disagree with that interpretation.
There is a senior editor who agrees with me.
Well, I mean, there's a senior editor who
out
don't
there.
agree with you, so it's like we're pretty well
I think
covered.
it's time we actually.
We are talking about No Man's Sky, and his take is about that. So maybe it is.
Yeah, I mean, Jared says it's pretty close to tie for my surprise of the year. No Man's Sky launched and way bad, and the next update completely changed that game in a way that almost makes me want to run back some of the shit I talked. Almost, not a single moment in The Quiet Man's inconspicuous ad campaign did it give you any idea about what that game was, and somehow it was still one of the most disappointing games in years. Quiet Man sounds so bad that it actually comes full circle and is
George
good,
committed to the bit too over there.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know.
I don't personally agree with his Quiet Man take, because I feel like that trailer showed that this is going to be some bad FMV game that also at some point turns into a quote unquote video game that you fight dudes in. Like that was the first thing they showed about that game. So it's like
video game is.
I don't know, man. It's pretty surprising how fucking.
Like
I really wanted to play The Quiet Man before this. I didn't.
Are you stupid or really stupid?
Like I mean I don't know. Like it is like yeah, like it's like man, this is really bad. But like watching that Giant Bomb Extra Life streams,
That man wants to fuck his mom.
honestly, watching both of them, I watch like both sides do it, and it's like I've like in some ways like this is
You've immersed
fucking
yourself in
wild.
Quiet.
Yes, this is fucking wild, but it's also like I wasn't that insanely surprised by it. Like there was like I had enough expectation knowing this was gonna be.
Yo,
Something
that
bad.
other Human Head game looked boring
No
as
best
fuck.
surprise win.
I'll say this: like, let's get rid of the messenger.
Let's get rid of Florence. How about that?
Really, I
Because-
disagree with that one.
Because I knew from the get-go that game was going to be good. Like as soon as I saw when they announced it, they just announced the poster and then who the team was making
Yeah, I was
it.
gonna say.
And like it's the Monument Valley people making a new mobile game. I was like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah,
So
George just saw the Annapurna logo and he just started bowing.
I'll say, like, you know, I played Monument Valley and I thought it was fine. Like, I played Florence and fucking bawled my eyes out. And that is,
Yeah.
like, I'm not a huge mobile game person.
Yeah, I'm not. That's the thing either. Like, I'm not huge either.
here comes
Again,
Jared
like,
Green.
Yeah, Jared
Yeah,
Green.
right. Like,
Yeah,
could
just
have been on the fucking
brings his
podcast, but it's like the fact that like I think it had such a connection with me, George, and Alex, and like I think George maybe went in with the most expectation, but like I went in with very.
Sure,
Like,
that's true.
I wouldn't be
shitty
like
thing
I
is,
hear
like-
people talking about this, but like
I was
don't
the guy who was like,
know what to
hey.
expect.
Yeah, but, like, you know, Logan, you came on the show and talked about it and blah, blah, blah. Like, I had a lot of expectation because of you, I think, in
Mhm.
particular. So, like, that game kind of lived up to what I was thinking it was going to be, so.
I mean, to be fair, me and George also literally spoiled it 4 days ago. Like, we literally give you like
Yeah,
beat by beat how that game was
Yeah.
gonna shake out.
Yeah, there was stuff in there that
Sorry about that, Mike and Alex.
Yeah, that's it.
Very love story.
I wouldn't necessarily say that didn't help.
Quiet Man and his mom.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
necessarily
it
didn't help, but I'd also say for me personally, I heard some of that even before you guys said anything about it,
Yeah.
because that game had just been
Sure.
in the conversation with a lot
sure.
of this time of the year and you know
Mhm.
games in general, it being like a popular one.
I don't know, but, like,
Yeah, sorry, you can go ahead.
actually, I've been talking a lot, Mike. You go.
I was just gonna say I was in a similar camp with George in some ways in that I heard it was a Monument, the Monument Valley team. Once I did hear, I heard about it being Florence first. I just saw it as that, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I think a little bit after that, once it had been released and kind of out,
Right.
and more people start talking about it, then I heard like, oh, that's the Monument Valley guys. Then I heard that that definitely was like a moment of like, oh, that's clearly a reason.
It's the Monument Valley guys, and they decided to leave the Monument Valley studio to make a new thing.
Different
So I was like, well, this is gonna be a hot track then. I
Yeah.
assume they're leaving.
And I
it's
think
pretty fire.
personally, knowing
we
that
can-
it's the
we can ditch
Monument
it.
Valley team,
Everybody else's.
like that, like
Monument
those-
Valley means nothing to me. I don't.
But
like,
that's the into the
much bigger-
breach argument, I think.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think.
like I'm like, and I see that now, and like,
Yeah,
and it's like,
I'm the same way. I didn't know, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this.
yeah, it's like knowing that, it's like that game's fucking great.
Yeah,
the way that,
I like
that
that game
it
a lot
plays
personally too.
makes a lot more sense to me too.
Yeah. That
So
yeah.
I like, it's tricky. It's tricky camp. I think Greece has the unfortunate thing of like Mike went and played that game and he
Yeah,
came back and said
it was-
like,
it
yo,
was-
this
Spread the
game-
gospel.
It's
Yeah.
I knew that was
Yeah.
I knew that one wasn't gonna make it because it is a personal
That
one of like
belladonna of sadness looking ass motherfucker.
One might say Greece has a lot of style though, and I think like
Greece
I
is
would
the
also-
I mean,
word.
there's a category like that.
I would also
Yeah.
again with Oberdin, there's like almost a dedicated. It's almost like there's a dedicated category for these games.
Mike's out here planning his hills to die on 3 podcasts in advance, and he's like, I know where I'm going, fuckers. I know where I'm camping
George
out,
is laying out
building
like
up
the
a
best
wall.
game we all overlooked game. Like no one's talking about that category at all, but he's like, I'm fucking gunning for all
Yeah,
of us,
yeah,
boys."
you're waiting. Day 3 is when you'll feel the wrath.
I love it. I think Detroit, Pokemon, Astrobot. Like I think that's.
Yep.
I think that's a dope list.
Yeah,
It's a weird list,
it is.
It is.
and I like that. Does everybody like that?
I mean, I'm fine with it because like
Yeah.
two of those games were absolutely
Mhm.
games I wanted on here, so I can't really.
Yeah.
Be, and like Detroit
Yeah, I forgot about that.
again, Detroit. I have not played at all. I'll
Yeah.
play it one day. Like I haven't.
I think it would surprise
But-
you, Mike, in particular, going off what you've said.
Yeah, I agree
Obviously,
with
me
that.
saying that takes that away, but
Yeah, I was gonna say
Mhm.
probably
Like,
yes
I
or
would
no.
agree that it would.
Because like I'm ultimately like it's fun to. I mean, fun and important to rightfully so dunk on David Cage, but I wouldn't say like there's like a like extreme hate for his games. Like I've played I've actually only played Heavy Rain. I haven't played Beyond, and like Heavy Rain, I didn't like
let me tell you
actively
about
hate. It
Item.
was just kind of like
No,
My
we're not
friend
doing that.
Item.
it was kind of just
Beyond Two Souls. So
Yeah, we don't. We try not to talk about that too much.
Say about William Dafoe.
Yeah, we're-
Jody.
the one for me too is like I think Mike would enjoy it more than he thinks he would. I don't know if Scott has played Detroit. I think he would enjoy it. The one who I think would
I
enjoy
already
it
live
too.
by Detroit.
Yeah, the one I
live
think
by
would enjoy it,
Yeah,
but it's like never.
I
like,
think that'd be
I
more
think
upsetting,
Detroit is
I think
like-
it's
Scott lives Detroit actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
I can go down there and just like robot people.
is like I think Quinn would enjoy it, but Quinn will never let himself actually enjoy it because
Nope.
his
Yeah,
mind
that's
already made up in that
very
game, which is total nonsense. But like
I think
I
he
think
would
he would
really
enjoy
like
it.
it too, Quinn.
yeah, I agree.
I
enjoyed
he
Beyond
won't let
Two
himself.
Souls.
I'm not having this argument.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
he
it's
hates
fine. Like,
David Cage and Quantic Dream, which is fine, but like the game, I think you would like the game.
yeah, I think you would.
Mhm.
You have
If
anybody
you let yourself like ignore the fact of who it's made by, just don't like if you went in blind. I think you'd enjoy
which
it.
is difficult. Like I,
Yeah,
that's
it's
why-
totally
Very
Yeah.
difficult.
But I think
Yeah.
his mind is just so closed off to that. But like I think he would enjoy it otherwise.
yeah.
I don't think, but like I think that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole
Yeah.
other conversation.
I think like to Logan's credit, like his review of it really encapsulates.
I did my best. Yeah, I tried.
Kanye
to,
Yeah, I
West
think you did a
loves
phenomenal
Detroit.
job. I think like
Kanye West find Kojima. I'm sorry, I'm taking us off track.
please find him. I
Please,
need
did
this.
he get? Did he find him?
No, he didn't.
Fuck. 2018's a wash.
so we're saying Pokemon, Astrobot, and Detroit.
Yeah, it's
like
hard.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
I'm fine with that.
Here's my thing. Like, I guess I'm just not completely there on Astrobot. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
but it's also the fact that like I have no way. I mean, I guess I don't have a PSVR.
I bought into the hype. Personally.
here's
Yeah,
the thing.
same.
Like
Sounds fun.
if you guys like feel that strongly about it, like the three of you, like George, Scott, Mike, like I'm
I'm fine with
not here to
Pokemon, by the
for
way.
it.
I think Pokemon's cool. 'Cause I
Yeah,
think
that's
the one that I feel like I'm the most
that's kind
lukewarm
of
on.
my difficulty too. Of like,
it's like no expectations to low expectations. Like,
that's kind of where my difficulty
Yeah.
at is like I'm trying to separate my very deep, important love of
Yeah.
the Pokemon franchise in this situation
Mhm.
from that, and it's always
Yeah.
it's a difficult thing to do in any capacity, you know.
For me with Pokemon, it's like I'm glad they didn't fuck it up like I was worried they were going to.
Mhm.
Nope.
Where with Astrobot, it was like, holy crap!
Yeah, and that's
I had no
Yeah.
like.
that is I think Scott hit like the point on me for that is like going back to like what we have this little descriptor looking at most delightful or pleasing surprise of a game, whether it be went with low expectations or exceeded them, and we had no and it blew us away. Like Astrobot is that
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%.
I like that-
that
that-
is like 100% the like the like if you want to take that description and apply it to a thing, like that's
Right.
Astrobot for me.
Mhm.
It
With
is
Pokemon,
surprising.
it was almost like a relief.
Mhm.
That's how I
Yeah.
feel like. That's why I feel like
With-
Pokemon kind
with-
of
Yeah,
maybe does it.
Well, with Astrobot, I feel like it was a genuine surprise.
Does the end of
Where with
Astrobot-
Pokemon, I was just like so tense that oh my
yeah,
god.
it was just like please don't hurt this thing that I love.
At the end of
Yeah,
Astrobot,
Astrobot, have a
worst-
guy come
Worst
out
case
when,
scenario, I'll just wait till next year and get the real Pokemon game. But playing Let's Go, it was like a relief. It's like, okay, this is pretty awesome. Like this is
freaking
good.
fucking Astrobot fucking shit. I
wait,
don't
wait.
know.
George, at the end of Astrobot, it like plays the credits and it's like a shmup, but then like all the other people that finish the game also
Alright.
play once. And then you find out that we're all really
Yeah.
alive.
And then the credits end, and then you have to play through again as one of the other robots that you have to save,
Mhm.
and you see the
That-
complete different perspective.
Actually, you know what? I'm coming full
you see-
circle on this.
and you get to see all the struggles of the robots.
Yeah.
I'd also say like we were talking mainly from like a gameplay perspective, but
Mhm.
again, I've only played 2 of the worlds, and at least from that, it continues that vibe of like it continues that like weird like the charm that Nintendo always kind of nails with their games, like in a way Astrobot nails. Not in like they're just trying to like copy it. Like it has its own charms, and that's why I brought up like something like Ape Escape, because like I'm reminded of like that era of like those PS2 games when they were kind of trying to like find their own charm like Nintendo did, where like with like Ape Escape and like Spyro and Crash, even though I think Crash fucking sucks. Like, but like,
Got him!
like I have to, I'm sorry, I have to throw it every time. But like I can still like respect that like it made its own like charm, and it made its own like character, and like that's what Astrobot like nails so well too. In that like, you know, finding like you said, like finding the robots, and like they're not all just like, you know, and they're not all just like robots just kind of like standing static. Like there'll be ones like sitting there sleeping, or ones like lounging on like a sun chair with sunglasses on, or there'll be ones like you know,
or like hanging and you have to like rescue them. And...
like there's like all kinds of stuff like that, which remind me of Ape Escape. And I would also say like the music in a lot of ways also reminds me of Ape Escape in some ways too. Like I thought there's some bangers in Ape Escape that I don't necessarily know the names
That's a high
of.
bar you're setting now.
There's not necessarily like names I remember, but like the vibe that like music that music brought to the game.
Two soundtracks.
Very
fucking
uplifting.
Like yes, it's like uplifting and like
And
jolly,
cheery.
and it just all
I mean,
like
Ape
fits,
Escape
rolls back into the game.
soundtracks. Like I'm gonna fucking blaze it up and just hang
And like
out.
Yeah, let's go, George.
and like the thing where like there's the gadgets that are in the controllers that Scott brought up, like the grappling hook, are like super cool and remind me of that, but they also remind me of like more modern like Mario games, where like they will have these one levels that have this really cool like trick or mechanic that you only see in that level, and like that's not like 100% Astrobot, but like they have those like one like there's a couple levels in the world that use that grappling hook where it's like you like swipe on the touchpad, and like the virtual controller that you see like in the VR and the game world has like a little grapple point that's on it, and it like shoots and it'll like attach to points, and then that becomes like a walking like trapeze line for like the robot to move, and you can like angle it to like get to different things, or you can like flick the controller.
Yeah, flick it up
and it like
shoot the
and he
robot
like
up.
launches them up in the air to like you can get like
Mhm.
collectibles that way. There's like another level in the second world where he gets like a water hose on the thing.
The water gun.
And there's like a really cool level that uses like the depth and the scale of VR where you're like growing out plants, and there's also like beanstalks that are like growing out of it while you're like spraying certain things in water.
That was a really long level, but that was a really cool
It's
level.
long, but it's like super cool just how it
Oh,
uses
yeah.
like it uses like the depth of and like the angling where like the end of the levels like you're climbing up this like beanstalk while you're like in the process of like spraying certain spots with water while it grows, and like at some points you'll be like looking down and seeing your robot like jumping across leaves, and then he'll kind of, like to the point where he kind of gets up in like this, like plain view, and then the thing will grow up, and then you have to like look up while you're like while he's like jumping up, and it just uses all of that stuff.
I'm
in, like,
glad that it's
surprising and cool ways.
I'm glad it's not just looking like left and right. Like you have to
Yes.
like spin around in a chair and look up and like really look down and like pivot and look around corners. It's
So it sounds like Astrobot wins.
All right, it's 1:15 in the morning. It's Astrobot.
Sorry, we went on. I went on an
I
Astrobot.
got
tangent.
work in fucking 6 hours or whatever.
Astrobot wins.
It's cool. Like, yeah, I think like both
Shout out to Team Sobe.
Yes.
all of these games apply, right?
Absolutely.
Of, like, either low expectations or no expectations, and we were really happy with what we got.
Yes. Yeah. Totally agreed.
I really want to play Detroit though. It was more of a matter of
Hey, dude.
It's
I'll
really.
get to it.
No,
I know
it's-
I will one day, but
I really want to play. Is just when it came out, funds were an issue,
Yeah.
and I just haven't had a chance to get around to play it.
It's
'cause
really neat.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed
it
it.
costs like $5. And...
I enjoyed Beyond Two Souls. So
Hell yeah, dude. Me too.
I love this game.
For nothing else, I think again what it does like that butterfly effect system.
yeah.
Mhm.
The decision stuff is
incredible.
The
fucking-
decision
Like, it
stuff
is,
is
like,
really impressive. It's
3
really
pages long of like what you could have done instead. It's like it's.
Yeah, you just
by
see
the
like
end of that
full
game,
spreadsheets of things you
mind-boggling. Yeah,
never
it is
saw.
insane.
that sounds very cool.
Yeah.
So like
Alright.
it took what Until Dawn did to just like fucking
Sure.
raise the stakes. Yeah.
Turns out, not saving the fish, totally different game.
Fundamentally different, yeah.
All right. To summarize today, the two categories that we went through today: best music goes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, with runners-up being Celeste and Tetris Effect, and our best surprise goes to Astrobot Rescue Mission, with runners-up being Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee and Detroit Become Human. We have 2 more days left, and if everything's going according to plan, you can see some cool videos summarizing the winners of these categories.
I may need some help with these footage on some of these.
Yeah, we'll.
I got
hopefully
you.
figure
Astrobot
it
will be
out.
another one.
I
But
could probably figure that out, like, but I don't know in Detroit. So
yeah, it's all right.
Oh,
Hook me
three
up.
of us have that covered. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. But yeah, so like I hope you're enjoying this. Obviously, a lot of new stuff. We've not done a lot of this before, so hopefully it's going well. It's January.
I mean,
when you're
yeah,
doing this, so.
on our end, I'm having fun, and
we
ultimately,
could be in World War III in January. Who knows?
ultimately, I'm
knows?
having fun.
If we would have to have a government that's working for that to happen, right?
Damn,
God, I
true.
did not mean to make it so heavy. I'm sorry.
God, that's a hell of a way to end the
Ace
podcast.
Combat 7, Game of the Year.
Tomorrow we have best style and best use of world building.
I'm
so-
looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be some fun, cool, different conversations.
Let's
I
see if
think
we
it
can
can
hit-
also be. It'll be the shortest one yet and the most
Yeah.
civil.
Please,
Yeah.
we say this every time. And
I
here
mean,
we
this one
are.
is short. This one is shorter. To
I
be
mean,
fair,
that's true.
It's,
That is true.
it's not that much shorter.
Baby
Yeah,
steps. Baby steps.
baby steps. We are making.
But also, like, part of it is because we lost half an hour for that break, so it's like.
Mhm.
Yeah,
know,
I mean, yeah, that will be cut
Get
out. And that will
milk.
be cut out in post, probably. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah. Well,
I would
no, I'm gonna
imagine,
leave it on.
yeah.
Probably.
I'm gonna leave the milk part. in.
Yeah, the milk part
Definitely
stays.
milk it.
Thank you all so much for supporting and listening to us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We will
Absolutely.
talk to you all more about video games tomorrow.